Tens of thousands of people are still waiting for supplies of food, medicines and shelter. Dr. Anthony Redmond, who's leading a group of British doctors sent by the Department for International Development, says they're well prepared to treat the injured.
We are hearing that many people were injured with flying debris. These winds, we know, were very strong, and so buildings were torn apart and the debris has injured people.
A middle school in Dunstable says it's being squeezed by schools either side of its age group. A number of upper and lower schools in the area have extended the ages of children they teach, which some people believe is threatening the existence of middle schools. Sarah Hughes from Brewers Hill Middle is worried they could be overlooked by parents, even though they've had a good Ofsted report.
We have children come to us at year 5 who are used to being in one classroom with one teacher whilst they're at their lower school, and we bridge that gap between then going to upper school where they're expected to move around the school. The schools are far larger, they have far higher expectations of them in terms of independence, and so we prepare them for that.
An investigation is underway into how a dog was electrocuted outside a shop in London Colney. Its owner had changed it to the shutter of the Colney mini market in the High Street. Matt Lockwood has more.
In a statement, St Albans District Council said the shop would remain closed until a full electrical safety inspection had been completed. Only then, it said, would it make a decision on whether to lift the prohibition notice and open the shop to the public. The council, as a relevant enforcement agency, is leading on a separate investigation into what happened at the premises.
People living in Wheathampstead are upset about plans to extend a Grade 1 listed church in the village. St Helens says it needs the extra space to expand its activities following the closure of the United Church building and the Social Club. But opponents of the plans say they're not in keeping with the existing building and graves will have to be disturbed. Sport, and England under-21s were comfortable winners in their European Championship qualifier against Finland in Milton Keynes last night. The Young Lions won by 3-0, with Saido Berahino scoring 2 and Michael Keane getting the other at Stadium MK. And the weather forecast, dry today with clear spells and light winds. There'll be plenty of sunshine around. Maximum temperatures of 10 degrees Celsius. That's 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks. We're coming to towns and villages all across our counties.
We love the area. And of course, this little town centre, so convenient to us.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
It is still a garden city.
All this week in Welwyn Garden City.
It's always been lovely, wide, open spaces, beautiful grass verges.
Local and vocal. The big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's Friday, thank goodness for that. It's the freaking weekend, baby. I'm about to have me some fun. I won't. I'll probably be stuck in my bedroom drinking hot lemon drinks all weekend, but never mind. Lots coming up on the show today, including it's emerged an anaesthetist was suspended from Milton Keynes Hospital after complaints he fell asleep during a C-section. A hospital investigation found the patient was not at risk. Well, he's back at work. Oh, and he's thought to be in his 70s or his 80s. Too old, perhaps? A London Colney family is furious after their dog was electrocuted by a faulty shop front. Terrible thing to happen, but they say it could have been worse. The person looking after their dog could have been killed. And he was a 5-year-old child. And after the mental patient costume row around Halloween, Amazon are in trouble again. This time, they're selling a golly costume. Really? Is there any excuse for that? Facebook.com/BBC3CR. Send me a text, 81333. Start your text 3CR. Or you can give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
I like you very much. I think you're great. Why is it that when I feel a touch, my heart stops to beat the band? I like you to hold me tight. You You are too divine.
If you want to be in someone's arms tonight, just be sure the arms you're in are mine.
Oh, I like your lips, and I like your eyes. You do like my hips? Two whips no ties. You we see the moon above. Way up in the blue. See, senor, I think I fall in love. And when I fall, I think I fall for you. Ay, 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 ay. See. Ay, 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 I can see that you for me.
Ay, 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 ay.
I like you very much.
Ay, 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 ay.
I think you're grand. Why is it that when I feel your touch, my heart stops to beat the band?
Ay, 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 ay.
Like you to hold me tight. You are too divine. If you want to be in someone's arms tonight, just be sure the arms you're in are mine. Oh, I like your lips, and I like your eyes. You do like my hips? Two whips no ties. You see the moon above. Way up in the blue. See, senor, I think I fall in love. And when I fall, I think I fall for you. Ay, 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 ay. See. Ay, 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 ay.
You should...
See that you for me.
You should see the look on Kelly Bett's face. She's only a youngster. The look on her face as that song was playing out. She was disgusted. Disgusted. I'd like to hear Jake Bugg doing a song better than that. Now, an anaesthetist who allegedly fell asleep on duty at Milton Keynes Hospital has been allowed to return to work. In a statement, the NHS Trust said it had investigated an incident which took place during a caesarean section and found the patient involved was not put at risk. Our reporter Catherine Boyle joins me in the studio. What more do we know, Catherine?
Well, according to the Milton Keynes Citizen newspaper, 2 midwives and the surgeon involved made an official complaint to hospital chiefs after an incident early this year, as you say, at Milton Keynes General. A hospital source who asked not to be identified told the paper that his head was slumped on his chest and he was apparently fast asleep. He didn't even wake up when the surgeon asked him to adjust the anaesthesia. Even the father of the baby being delivered saw what happened. That's according to sources.
So what do we know about the anaesthetist himself?
Well, we do know that he qualified as a doctor in 1965 and registered as an anaesthetist 12 years ago. Now, according to the Citizen, he was suspended for 9 months on full pay pending an investigation, which isn't unusual in these circumstances. He's believed to be in his late 70s or even early 80s, and we know that this month he was able and allowed to return to work at hospital, as well as continuing his duties as a private consultant at the Saxon Clinic nearby.
And the hospital, what are they saying?
Well, Mr Martin Wetherall, medical director at Milton Keynes Hospital, said a concern was raised about an anaesthetist allegedly falling asleep during a caesarean section procedure. A full investigation into the events was conducted. The patient involved was not put at risk during the procedure, and no concerns were raised by the patient or relatives in regard to the care they received, and no other claims have been made against this member of staff.
Well, well done to the Milton Keynes Citizen for that. It's a cracking story. I would suggest let's be generous. Let's assume 75. Too old to be working in something like that, isn't he? I would have thought.
We're going to be speaking later on to a body that represents anaesthetists, and they have been concerned about levels of fatigue across the age groups who are performing these roles for some time. I think they may have something interesting to tell you.
Catherine, thank you very much indeed. Well, we can put that out, not about this specifically, but in general. 08459 455 555. There are some jobs where being elderly is a definite disadvantage. Should we make everybody... you shouldn't be allowed to work after 75, particularly if you're dealing with people's lives. Seems obvious to me. 08459 455 555.
I got my mind set on you. I got my mind set on you. I got my mind set on you. Got my mind set on you. But it's gonna take money. A whole lot of spending money. It's gonna take plenty of money to do it right, child. It's gonna take time. Whole lot of precious time. It's gonna take patience and time to do it, to do it, but it's gonna take money. Whole lot of spending money. It's gonna take plenty of money to do it right, child. It's gonna take time, whole lot of precious time. It's gonna take patience and time to do it, 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 to do it right. I got my mind set on you. 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 And this time I know it's real. The feelings that I feel. I know if I put my mind to it, I know that I really can do it. But it's gonna take a money. A whole lot of spending money. It's gonna take plenty of money to do it right, child. It's gonna take a time, a whole lot of precious time. It's gonna take patience and time to do it, 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 to do it right.
Morning. Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Listen, as you can hear, my voice is going already. I'm not going to say a word over the weekend. A vow of silence will be introduced from 1 minute to 9 o'clock this morning until hopefully 6 o'clock Monday morning. So I kind of need you to do a lot of the talking for me. Would that be okay? I can't promise you any part of my huge salary, but you'll have the comfort in knowing that by you coming on and talking, you're putting off the chance of James Whale coming in and filling in for me next week, which is, at the moment, a distinct possibility. So, 08459 455 555. We'll relax the rules slightly. Normally, we like you to call in and talk about... well, the stuff we're talking about, really. Today, you can call in and talk about anything. Anything you want. 08459 455 555. You can even come on as well if you're doing something for children in need today, maybe at your school or your children's school or at work or something like that. You can come on and you can give it a shameless plug. I won't stick my tongue in my cheek or raise an eyebrow. All is welcome. 08459 455 555. Come on, help an old man.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Pretty quiet morning at the moment so far. However, if you're going slightly further afield, the M11 northbound is blocked between junction 7 for Harlow and 8 for Bishop Stortford. That's because a shed load of steel bars just fell onto the road. Traffic's being held just before junction 8, so everything's stationary at the minute. Andy phoned in for an update on that, so thank you. There aren't any major problems being picked up on the cameras, though. The M40 is looking quiet, and there are no problems being flagged around Luton or Milton Keynes. This is Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. 6:16, it's Friday the 15th of November. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. An elderly anaesthetist who allegedly fell asleep on duty at Milton Keynes Hospital has been allowed to return to work. Aid workers say the situation in the Philippines is still bleak, a week after Typhoon Haiyan swept through parts of the country. England under-21s won 3-0 in their match against Finland at the MK Stadium last night. And the weather, it's a dry day with sunshine and light winds. Maximum temperature is 10 degrees. 08459 455 555. On the back of the anaesthetist story, when did you realise you were too old for work? I realised it about 20 minutes ago.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Children in need across beds, hearts and bucks.
Hi, I'm Karen Abel. I work here at Active Luton.
Active Luton is a charitable trust that promotes the value of sport and physical activity. It especially provides opportunities for young people to take part in sport, and it allows them to experience physical activity in a range of environments. Children of Need have funded a scheme for children to attend holiday camps, and that's specifically at Stockwood Park Athletic Centre and Dell Farm Outdoor Centre. The children that we're targeting are disadvantaged children that sometimes culturally and financially are not able to travel outside Luton necessarily. So for them, it's an opportunity to go out and be in an environment that's away from home. It's really, quite moving to see them experience for the first time the different activities that they can take part in. By the end of the week, you can really see the difference in the confidence and self-esteem that they have. Without Children in Needs funding, this wouldn't have been possible for these disadvantaged children.
To find out how you can help local causes like this, go to bbc.co.uk/Pudsey.
It's a god-awful small affair to the girl with the mousy hair, but her mummy is yelling no, and her daddy has told her to go. But her friend is nowhere to be seen. Now she walks through her sunken dream to the seat with the clearest view, and she's hooked to the silver screen. But the film is a sad thing for she's lived it 10 times or more. She could spit in the eyes of fools as they ask her to focus on sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh man, look at those cavemen go. It's the freakiest show. Take a look at the long man beating up the wrong guy. Oh man, wonder if you'll ever know who's in the best-selling show. Is there life on Mars? It's on America's tortured brow that Mickey Mouse has grown up a cow. And now the workers have struck for fame, 'cause Lennon's on sale again. See the mice in their million hordes, from Ibiza to the Norfolk Broads. Rule Britannia is out of bounds, to my mother, my dog and clowns. But the film is a sad thing more, 'cause I wrote it 10 times or more. It's about to be writ again, as I ask you to focus on sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh man, look at those cavemen go. It's the freakiest show. Take a look at the long man beating up the wrong guy. Oh man, wonder if you'll ever know who's in the best-selling show. Is there life on Mars?
Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. You can literally call in about anything today. I'm desperate to try and save my voice. 08459 455 555. Maybe you're doing something for children in need. You want to let us know what it is. Maybe just want to have a whinge. I don't mind. Whatever you fancy. This is an incredible story. A family from London Colney say a wiring fault at a local shop which electrocuted their dog could easily have killed their 5-year-old boy. The Staffordshire Bull Terrier died after being chained to what turned out to be an electrified shutter at the Colney mini market in the High Street. It was being looked after by its owner's young nephew. Well, our reporter Justin Dealey caught up with the shop's owner, Pratipan Rasalingan.
Whatever happened is happening. A dog died outside my shop, so And you've never had a problem with these shutters before?
Never had it. I've been here about 10, 12 years.
And you're saying the police came and the police touched these shutters soon after the dog had died and nothing happened to them?
Not even a single electric spark. You can feel it on your car door. It doesn't.
Now, the shop's been closed for a few days. When I arrived this morning, the fire brigade were coming out of your shop and also the local council here. So what happened this morning?
It's like they've been trying to find out it's to the public safety. Anything could have happened in any sense, but they want to make sure everything is in order.
So it's a full investigation as to what happened that day?
Yeah, that's right.
So you can't open your shop until that investigation is published, is that correct?
I've got no idea about that. It's up to the council to think about it.
So you cannot open this shop until the council give you the go-ahead?
That's it.
OK. How much money are you losing here? Are you losing hundreds or are you losing thousands? You've been shut for a few days now.
Yeah, it's not much money. It's like, I can't really say much on that.
Are we talking hundreds or are we talking thousands? Can you answer that for us?
No, sorry.
Who was here at the time? Were you here at the time?
I was here as well, yeah.
So you came out and you saw the dog on the floor?
No, I saw the dog, the guy who lifted the dog, that's it. I haven't seen the dog with the tied up or anything.
I mean, obviously, you didn't know there was anything wrong with your shutters, but...
It's a manual shutter anyway, so it's got nothing to do with electricity at the store.
But how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling guilty almost?
I never feel guilty on legally, but morally there's a dog died, so you feel sad about it, that's it.
And just lastly, why didn't you shut the shop immediately? It took a few days for you to be shut, and that was because of the council. Well, why didn't you close down immediately?
Because I never felt there was a problem, and I still believe that's the same thing. In my side of view, there was no problem.
So despite a dog being electrocuted by your shutter, you thought there wasn't a problem?
No, you're making it wrong. My shutter wasn't electric, live wire or anything on there. There's enough people checked it, so it's only the council asked me to do it, I do it.
So if the council hadn't have told you to close, you would have kept on trading, you'd have kept your shop open?
Yes, because right after the incident there was a policewoman, and right after that there's an electrician from the dog corner. They all said there's no electric, so why would I close that?
Well, that was shopkeeper Pratipan Rasilingan speaking to our reporter Justin Dealey. Justin joins me now. Justin, I understand that we have heard from the council since you recorded that conversation. What have they had to say?
Yes, so the council say they were called by the dog's owner on the 7th of November. That was the day after the incident took place. They say they sent inspectors to the scene within a matter of hours, and they told the shopkeeper who you heard from there to use an electrician as a matter of urgency. St Albans District Council say the following day, UK Power Networks confirmed that the shop had been live and they disconnected the power supply. Now, as a result of this, the council took enforcement action, ordering the shopkeeper to close pending an electrical inspection, which the building has now apparently passed. So that would appear that the shop can now reopen from today. Later, you're going to be hearing from the dog's owner, Matthew Callum, who, as you can imagine, is very, very unhappy about what's happened.
Justin, thank you very much for that. We will be speaking to Matthew Callum later on. You've got a busy morning this morning, Justin.
Yes, very busy morning. Lots happening.
There's a story, page 15 of The Sun, off their golly. Fury at Amazon selling sick fancy dress outfit. It's incredible. It looks like a doll golly. Closer inspection, it's not. It's a full-sized human outfit that you wear. I think it's incredible, actually.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could pop out on the street and just get people's opinions on that.
Will do, Ian. I mean, the last time we spoke about this was about half a year ago when we spoke about a gollywog badge, which was being sold, I believe, online, and people were furious about that. That's a badge we're talking about here, this costume. I just can't believe it. In the year 2013, how and why is this online? I just don't get it myself. But
Justin, we'll speak to you later on. Thank you very much. 08459 455 555.
Well, she was just 17, you know what I mean. And the way she looked was way beyond compare. So how could I dance with another? Oh, and I saw her stand there. Well, she
for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Major problems on the M11 northbound today. That's blocked between junction 7 for Harlow and 8 for Bishop Stortford. A shed load of steel bars fell onto the road and traffic's being held just before the junction 8. Andy phoned in for an update on that, so thank you. Speed sensor's not really showing any problems, but there are some roadworks to watch out for that have been causing problems. In Bearton, Broughton Lane is closed in both directions for roadworks near Burcott Lane and the A41. There have been delays on both the A41 and the A418, so watch out for that, especially in peak times. This is Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30. I'm Barry Caffrey. The headlines: an elderly anaesthetist who allegedly fell asleep on duty at Milton Keynes Hospital has been allowed to return to work. In a statement, the Trust said it happened during a caesarean section procedure, but the patient involved was not put at risk. Aid workers say the situation in the Philippines is still bleak a week after Typhoon Haiyan swept through parts of the country. Tens of thousands of people are still waiting for supplies of food, medicines and shelter. An investigation is underway into how a dog was electrocuted outside a shop in London Colney. Its owner had changed it to the shutter of the Colney mini market on the high street. And the weather dry today with clear spells and light winds. There'll be plenty of sunshine around today too, with maximum temperatures of 10 degrees Celsius. That's 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/Three Counties.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
England under-21s were comfortable winners in their European Championship qualifier against Finland in Milton Keynes last night. Alistair Bruceball was watching.
Gareth Southgate's team continued their serene progress in this group, playing some eye-catching stuff again, and West Brom striker Saido Berahino is building a very impressive international record. 6 goals in just 4 games for him in this group, and he would have had a hat-trick but for one second-half effort coming back off the bar. But there were plenty of other players who caught the eye. The Southampton duo of Luke Shaw and James Ward-Prowse, Wilfred Zaha, who looked so desperate to show what he could do, and Ravel Morrison linking it together in the number 10 role behind Berahino. Finland played the last 20 minutes with 10 men after right-back Patrick O'Shaughnessy was sent off. England were well in control tonight, and they are well in control of this group.
Well, the game finished 3-0 to England. Well, Watford and MK Dons have a free weekend due to international fixtures, but Luton play their 6th away match in a row tomorrow as the Hatters head to Chester in the conference. Wickham are at home to Cheltenham in League 2 and Stevenage host Rotherham in League 1. The Borough manager Graham Westley comes up against another boss with a big reputation, Steve Evans.
Steve's an alright guy. People read him as a fiery character, and a lot of it's just huff and puff. He's a guy who's willing to smile away from his football, and he's got a job to do in the dugout, and he plays with that fire. But he's a pussycat, really.
Rugby and fly half Dan Carter will earn his 100th cap for the New Zealand All Blacks when they face England tomorrow at Twickenham. Carter's hoping for a better outcome than when the sides last met, and England ran out 38-21 winners.
It's pretty obvious that we want to play better than we did last year. It wasn't our best game, so we just have to make sure that we improve from last week. We realise we're up against a strong English side that are in form. They've shown what they're capable of in the last 12 months, so we have to just keep continuing to work hard as we do and put in a good performance out on the pitch on Saturday.
Well, locally in rugby, Bedford take on Moseley in the Championship this evening at Goldington Road. The Blues have picked up just 1 win from 7 in the league, and they are 9th in the table. Cricket, and Joe Root hit 75, but England's bowlers have struggled on the third afternoon of their Final Ashes warm-up match against an Australian Invitational 11. Root shared a strand of 106 with Johnny Bairstow as England were bowled out for 418, a lead of 114. However, the hosts reached 64 without loss in just 15 overs by the tea interval. BBC Three Counties Radio News and Sport. I'll be back with a full bulletin at 7.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. In a few minutes, I'll be looking at the newspapers with Catherine Boyle. If you want to take part in that, 08459 455 555. One thing we did spot in the newspapers in the Sun, there's a story that Amazon, the internet the marketplace, is selling an adult golly fancy dress costume. Colin's on the M25. Colin, what's your take on it?
I think it's just going a little bit too far, Ian. You know, it's gollywogs and they're part of our history. It'll never go away.
Right.
Roman soldiers, German soldiers, toga parties. Nobody makes a noise when these costumes are for sale, you know? It just seems to be this gollywog scenario.
People do quite often make a noise when people wear Nazi uniforms.
Yeah, I never said Nazis, I said Germans.
Well, that was the implication, and I apologise if I misinterpreted that, but why would anyone be offended to someone wearing a German uniform?
Why not? I mean, it was all part of a horrible period
So
of
you
time.
are talking about Nazis?
Sorry?
You are talking about Nazis?
No, I'm talking about German soldiers as well.
But what
German
I'm
soldiers and there was Nazis.
Okay, so what Colin, you're trying to be clever, and you're not being that clever. If my voice was with me,
I'm not trying to be clever.
Well, you're saying Germans. Well, what's wrong with dressing up as a German soldier?
What, from the World War II period?
Yes.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Wow. So you don't think it's inappropriate for a white middle-aged man to wear an outfit that has a black curly wig, a black face with a white mouth and eye holes, black gloves, white and black stripy trousers and a black jacket? You don't think that's inappropriate?
No, I don't. I think it's just part of our history, and if we can't live up to our history, then there's something far wrong with this country.
Well, but also, would it be appropriate for someone to dress up as, for example, a slave, a black slave?
I personally wouldn't.
But would it be okay? It's part of our history, and if we can't live up to our history, as your argument, then where are we?
Well, you're absolutely right. Yeah, why not dress up as a slave?
So it would be appropriate. It would be appropriate to go to a fancy dress party dressed up as a black slave.
Yeah, I think it would be a bit painful getting the black off, but yeah,
wow.
I don't see any problem with that.
Well, Colin, okay, thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. Colin doesn't see a problem with dressing up as a black slave or dressing up as a golly. Hey, it's all part of our history, guys. We need to deal with it. 08459 455 555.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch, and it's bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out, and I'll lay your bitch bare. See, I'll leave with every piece of you. Don't underestimate the things that I will do. There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch, and it's bringing me out the dark. The scars of your love remind me of us. They keep me thinking that we almost had it all. The scars of your love, they leave me breathless. I can't help feeling we could have had it all. In the deep, you have my heart inside. You played it to the beat. Baby, I have no story to be told, but I've heard one on you, and I'm gonna make your head burn. Think of me in the depths of your despair. Make a home down there as mine sure won't be shared. The scars of your love remind me of us. They keep me thinking that we almost had it all. The scars of your love, they leave me breathless. I can't help feeling we could have had it all. In the deep, you have my heart inside.
Morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. So look at the papers with Catherine. Catherine, what have you found?
Well, front page of the Times. Let them eat horse, says Anne.
Oh, she
You
would.
wouldn't think Princess Anne would say.
I would.
They're her best friends, aren't they?
Yeah, I bet. You listen, when you shoot a horse, as we've all had to at some point in our lives, what are you going to do with that carcass? You can't fit it in the back of your Golf.
So, like the American Indians, you honour it by chowing down.
Yeah.
She's one of Britain's best-known horse lovers, but the Princess Royal has encouraged her countrymen to follow the French and consider eating horse meat. I was slipped a horse meat steak once. It wasn't awful. It was a little bit...
I bet. Listen, I don't. As a vegetarian, I don't see the problem. If you're going to eat a cow, why don't you eat a horse? What's the difference? Why don't you eat a dog?
Yeah, it's knowing you're eating and making the decision that that's fine.
Yeah.
I've eaten all sorts.
What happened to that horse meat scandal? Do you remember that when everyone was eating horse meat and didn't realise, and then it all disappeared?
Or did it?
Or did it?
Oh.
I don't see a problem with it at all. Chow down on some horse.
The problem was thinking you're eating one thing and actually eating another.
Yes,
and also the fact that we didn't know where these horses were coming from and whether they were safe for eating. And there's another one here, Friday, November the 15th.
So picky.
I know, aren't I?
Yes.
War on accent. Snob school, snob in commas, bans kids from talking black country. A school has sparked fury by banning pupils from talking or writing in their local dialect. Back when I was at school, it was called talking properly.
Yes.
And they taught you to speak nicely. It doesn't matter if you've got an accent or not, but if you are speaking
I thought
wrong.
accents were de rigueur these days. I mean, for example, Barry Caffrey, our newsreader, has an accent.
Has he?
Yes, he does.
Wow.
I think he's Scottish. Accents are in at the moment, aren't they?
I think as long as someone's clear, it's fine. This school, though, is courting controversy by telling kids from the black country to say it wasn't me rather than it were me. And they also say, I can't do that in place of I can't do that. I day rather than I didn't, and A instead of pardon. But chiefs at Collie Lane Primary School in Halesoe in West Midlands have now drawn up a list of 10 outlawed phrases and introduced a zero-tolerance policy.
Wow. My granddad, on my dad's side, was from Aberdeen, and he had a very, very strong Scotch accent. He also had a very, very strong Scotch drinking habit as well. When the two combined, I would sit there like 5, 6, 7 and just not have a clue what he was saying to me. I'd just sit there nodding, and then I'd go and run off and cry to my parents.
Oh.
I don't know what Grandad's saying.
Oh, that's really sad.
It is sad, isn't it? He was very nice, Grandad Jock.
He wasn't called that, was he?
Yeah.
That was okay then, was it?
Yeah, that was okay. Grandad Jock.
What was his real name?
I don't know. I think it was Jock.
Okay. Wasn't just Bean.
Oh, no, it wasn't. No.
Fine.
What else you got?
Robert De Niro on the front page of The Guardian talking about Taxi Driver 2. Really? They're doing it again?
No.
New York and ditching the method. Let's just check. 'Cause
Let's just check.
It may just be that they're saying that to get us to read. And they've won, actually.
I have never seen Taxi Driver.
I've got a copy of it, but I've never watched it.
Oh.
It's one of those, I went through a phase of I need to watch some, proper films.
Yeah.
And this is one people rave about. Raging Bull. I've not seen all the way through.
I saw Raging Bull a long time ago. You're talking to me? That's Taxi Driver. You're talking. I don't see nobody out there. Who you talking to?
Raging Bull is when he's beaten up slow motion.
Yeah. He puts on lots of weight. Fat De Niro.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like Robert De Niro, but he's pretty much Robert De Niro and everything, isn't he?
Yeah, he is nowadays. Nowadays, he's a joke. Back in the day, he was good. Have you ever seen Midnight Run?
No.
Midnight Run is his comedy film, and it is flipping brilliant. He plays a bounty hunter that has to go and get... it's not Nick Nolte. Is it Nick Nolte? It might be Nick Nolte. It's not Jeff Daniels. Anyway, he has to get this guy and to take him all the way across America. It's hilarious. I can't get on a plane. I've got what's the fear of flying? Anyways, I've got planeophobia. I'll give you fistophobia in a second if you don't get on the plane. It's brilliant. Very potty mouth.
I can't find this thing.
Well, let's put it out there as a fact. They're making Taxi Driver 2. Can you believe it?
Turns out they were talking to him.
Wowzers. Very quickly,
here it is.
Oh.
It had fallen out.
Oh, for goodness sake.
You still talking to me, an audience with Robert De Niro. You carry on talking, and I'll pretend to listen, and I'll find out whether they're really making this film.
Chin up, 10 things not to say in a crisis. The most annoying things you can say to someone in a crisis. At number 10, chin up. Does anyone actually say chin up? Number 7, pain is temporary, quitting lasts forever. Plenty more fish in the sea. Number 3, there. I've had that. I'm so miserable. I'm going to jump off the top of it. There.
People actually say that, do they, out loud?
Get a grip. Pull your socks up is a good one as well. Oh, come on, pull your socks up. Come on, pull your socks up. Is Taxi Driver 2 happening or not, Catherine?
Don't think so, no.
Thanks very much.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The M25 anti-clockwise is heavy around junction 24 for Potters Bar through the roadworks. M11 northbound still blocked between junction 7 for Harlow and 8 for Bishop Stortford. It's after some steel bars fell onto the road and traffic's being held just before junction 8, and it's causing quite a lot of queues on the approach. In Harpenden, Station Road heading northbound is looking slow, and there are some roadworks on the A5 and Milton Keynes to watch out for at peak times. There's a lane closed for junction improvements at the roundabout. This is Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Alice. 6:45. Friday, the 15th of November. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. An elderly anaesthetist who was caught sleeping on the job has been allowed to return to work at Milton Keynes Hospital. Relief workers are stepping up their efforts to reach people left homeless and hungry after a typhoon struck the Philippines. In sport, England's under-21s have gone 3 points clear at the top of their European Championship qualifying group after a 3-0 victory over Finland at MK Stadium last night. Coming up, our BBC Introducing Track of the Week. It's brilliant.
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello, very good morning to you. Well, we've got a touch of grass frost out there. It is a very chilly start to the morning, but it's going to be quite a beautiful, crisp autumn's day, actually, across the three counties. So lots of sunshine about, and it will be staying dry too. The winds are not as strong as they were yesterday. Still rather chilly, though, coming from the north, but a bit lighter than yesterday, so a touch more pleasant in the sunshine. And there'll be lots of that through the rest of the day. Not too much in the way of cloud either. Now, as we head through into tonight, it's going to be another cold one. The skies remaining clear, the temperatures dropping to, yes, the same values that we've got at the moment, possibly even a touch lower. So we could be looking at, say, -1, -2 degrees in many of our stations as we head into tomorrow morning. There will also be some mist and some fog patches around too, so something to watch out for if you're out and about on the roads tomorrow morning. That mist and fog could be quite slow to clear because the winds are going to fall very light overnight. So expect it to clear about sort of 10 or 11 o'clock completely, those patches of fog. And after that, it will brighten up for a good while before it starts to turn cloudier again into the afternoon. So tomorrow dry. Sunday I think it's going to be quite a cloudy day with possibly a few outbreaks of just light rain and drizzle here and there. So a little bit of wet weather around on Sunday, and again on Monday some wet weather at times, some heavier bursts of rain perhaps. Tuesday and Wednesday we may just see a few wintry showers in the mix. You can find more details on that on the BBC Weather website. That's the forecast.
BBC Three Counties Radio's Big Tour. Coming to towns and villages across Beds, Hearts and Bucks as we bring you the three counties like never before. It's a huge trip celebrating all that's amazing about where we live.
It's beautiful, especially on a day like today.
All this week in Welwyn Garden City.
We walk over the White Bridge and the vista is just fantastic.
If you've got a story everyone should know about, let us tell everybody about it. Send us an email to 3cr@bbc.co.uk.
Sherrod's Woods, that's lovely. It's a lovely walking area as well as being so close to the town.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of Beds, Hearts and Bucks. All this week in Welwyn Garden City.
We moved up, but we're not going to move again.
Local and vocal. BBC Three Counties Radio.
BBC Introducing who and what have we got this week, Kelly Betts?
Oh, hi, mate.
Yes, mate.
Sounding good. This week
You taking you taking the mic?
No. I actually quite like it.
Okay. Thanks.
Shall I carry on?
Yeah.
This week, added to our Introducing playlist, is a singer-songwriter called Rhodes from Hitchin, who picked up the guitar and learnt to sing only 8 months ago.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
Crazy, huh? It's called Raise Your Love, and it's from his Raise Your Love EP, which I believe is out already.
Just a young child's mind there, always listening. I don't wanna learn your choices now. Too young to begin. It's always on my mind now.
That's Rhodes. He's from Hitchin. A song called Raise Your Love. You can hear him playing acoustically on BBC Introducing this Saturday from 8 o'clock. Now, I'm constantly saying this, always happy to hear from you. So if there's something you want me to have a look into, then do send me an email, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. Sylvia did. She told me that people in Wheathampstead are getting upset about a planned extension to the St Helens Church and the possibility this will involve graves being moved. English Heritage aren't keen on the plans either, as it's Grade 1 listed. Sylvia's friend, Nigel Oxley, lives opposite the church and joins me now. Nigel, what exactly are your objections to these plans?
Yes, good morning. Hello. The problem was the church have been developing these plans for a number of years, but there's been a total lack of consultation within the village. The building they're proposing, it's a Grade 1 listed building in the heart of the conservation area in Wheathampstead. It's an absolutely beautiful churchyard. And they're proposing a very large building, really. A two-storey building built out of brick, and the church is built out of flint. It's going to look completely out of place in the churchyard, really.
I thought if you were building something, an extension or something near a Grade 1 listed, you had to use the same materials. Is that not the case?
Well, it should really complement the building.
Yeah.
This building is going to really stand out and be very, very different. And it's really going to damage the churchyard, really, and the setting of the listed building.
So is that your only concern, Nigel? It's going to look a little bit different, or is there more to it than this?
No, there is more to it, unfortunately, because the church are promoting this building as being as a village facility. And they're not providing any car parking for it. I mean, there's four parking bays within the churchyard. And it's a very large building. It can probably accommodate 120 people. And basically, it's the wrong place for a new village hall, really. It hasn't really been very well thought out at all, really.
Where would you like to see a new village hall, Nigel?
Well, there is a hall in the village already, in the Memorial Hall, which has very good car parking, and it needs upgrading. And the parish council are considering that at the moment, and that is the best place for a village hall, not in a in the churchyard, a Grade 1 listed building.
What about the graves? Is it true that the graves might have to be moved or built over?
Yes, there are some historic box tombs on exactly the site that they're proposing to build this new building. We're told that they are going to be relocated, but what they mean is actually not actually rebuilt. They're historic box tombs, which means they've got a brick base with a stone top on them. And I understand they're not going to actually rebuild the bases, they're just going to move the flat stones on top. So they won't look the same at all, really.
Now, Nigel, I have to ask you a question. Don't be offended, but some people will be thinking this. Are you just being a bit of a NIMBY? You don't want a big hall opposite your house?
We've lived in the village of Wheathampstead for about 25 years now. This proposal has absolutely split the village. The church members seem to love it, and as far as we've established, most of the other villages absolutely hate it. But the trouble is, it hasn't been publicised well, and there's a lot of the villagers don't even know this is happening or what's proposed. So, if they'd have had proper public consultation, I think the church would have fed back to the church properly. The villagers are unhappy with it, really.
Nigel, I really appreciate your time this morning. It's Nigel Oxley, who lives opposite the church. In a statement, St Albans District Council told us that no date has been fixed for a decision on the application. It was advertised in the local paper, and residents near the site were notified. And later on, I'll be speaking to the Reverend Richard Banham, who is the rector at St Helens Church.
Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, round, round, I get around, I get around. Strip. I gotta find a new place where the kids are hip. My buddies and me, you're getting real well known. Yeah, but that the girls we meet. None of the guys go steady, cause it wouldn't be right to leave your best girl home on a Saturday night. I get around, I get around, get around, I get around, get around, I get around, I get around. Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, round, round, I get around, get around, round, round, I get around, get around, round, round, I get around, get around, round, round, I get around,
08459 455 555 is the telephone number. If you want to give me a call right now, though, let's get the travel.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
M11 northbound is blocked between junction 7 for Harlow and 8 for Bishop Stortford after a shed load of steel bars fell onto the road. It's causing delays all on the approach and real problems for people heading to Stansted. The M25 anti-clockwise is heavy between junction 25 for Enfield and 24 for Potters Bar into the roadworks. Heavy around junction 20 for Kings Langley and also very slow around junction 16 for the M40. Morning delays in Bricket Wood on the North Orbital, which is very slow around the M25 junction 21A roundabout. Public transport has no reported problems. This is Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
So, a golly fancy dress outfit is being sold on Amazon. I have to be honest, the majority of you seem to think that's acceptable. Are we making a fuss out of nothing here? We'll find out more after the news with Barry.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Barry Caffery. The headlines: anaesthetist who fell asleep while on duty at MK Hospital allowed to return to work. Efforts to distribute aid in the Philippines has been stepped up, and investigation launched into how dog was electrocuted outside London Colney's shop.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
An elderly anaesthetist who allegedly fell asleep on duty at Milton Keynes Hospital has been allowed to return to work. In a statement, the Trust said it happened during a caesarean section procedure, but the patient involved was not put at risk. Tony Fisher reports.
According to the Milton Keynes Citizen newspaper, the senior consultant was suspended on full pay for 9 months before being allowed to return to work. The hospital says a full investigation into the events was conducted. It added no concerns were raised by the patient or relatives in regard to the care they received, and no other claims have been made against the member of staff.
The Philippines government says it now believes almost 3,500 people were killed by Typhoon Haiyan, an increase of more than 1,000. It has also acknowledged that the relief effort could have got underway faster, but was impeded by damage to the country's infrastructure. Rajesh Merchandani now reports from the central city of Tacloban.
The biggest problem for the relief effort has been the scale of the devastation. Those who are supposed to be the first responders were also among the victims. Barely a quarter of the police force has showed up for work this week. The Secretary of the Interior, who is overseeing the response, told me with roads blocked and infrastructure destroyed, it's also been hard to get relief supplies out to the people. But it is starting to happen. The main roads in Tacloban are now clear, even if body bags still line them. And UN agencies are confident the operation is in full swing 1 week on.
An investigation is underway after a dog died after being electrocuted outside a shop in London Colney. The dog had been left outside the Colney mini market in the High Street with the owner's 5-year-old grandson. The shop owner is Pratipan Rasalingan.
It's a manual shutter anyway, so it's got nothing to do with electricity at the store. I never feel guilty on legally, but morally there's a dog died, so you feel sad about it, that's it.
People living in Weethamstead are upset about plans to extend a Grade 1 listed church in the village. St Helens says it needs the extra space to expand its activities following the closure of the United Church building and the social club. But opponents of the plan say they're not in keeping with the existing building and graves will have to be disturbed. England under-21s were comfortable winners in their European Championship qualifier against Finland in Milton Keynes last night. The Young Lions won by 3-0, with Saido Berahino scoring 2 and Michael Keane getting the other at Stadium MK. And the weather dry today with clear spells and light winds, plenty of sunshine around, maximum temperatures of 10 degrees Celsius, that's 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Local and vocal across Beds, Herts and Bucks. We're coming to towns and villages all across our counties.
I like the centre of it, in the parkway. The town centre is still a lovely old town centre.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of Beds, Herts and Bucks.
To this day, it's beautiful to me.
All this week in Welwyn Garden City.
I like the Stanborough Lakes, where you've got the lakes, you can take the children to play.
Local and vocal. The big tour of Beds, Herts and Bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Lots coming up now, including it's emerged that an anaesthetist was suspended from Milton Keynes Hospital after complaints that he fell asleep during a C-section. The gentleman in question is thought to be in his 70s and 80s. Well, when did you realise that you were too old for work? A London Colney family is furious after their dog was electrocuted by a faulty shop front. Terrible thing to happen, but they say it could have been worse. The person looking after the dog, who was a 5-year-old child, could have been killed. And after the mental patient costume row around Halloween, Amazon are in trouble again. This time, they're selling a golly costume. Bit of harmless fun or outdated racist nonsense? Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333. Start your text 3CR, or you can give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Right, on the subject of a couple of calls here. Andrew, I'll get to you in a second, but on the subject of the golly costume that's being sold on Amazon, and it's a full outfit that you climb into. Okay, you wear it. So it's a black mask, it's a black curly wig, it's the black and white striped trousers. It's a full thing. Is that appropriate, really? Dennis, what do you think?
No, it's not. It goes back to slavery. Slavery in America. When they used to think that black people were thick. That was the idea. And so they had the black and white minstrel shows to show that they were happy people but thick. And that is totally racial. And why they bring it back now, I do not know. Because, after all, there's no such thing as black and white. You've never seen a black man. You've seen a very dark man. You don't see white people. You're not like sheets. We're all shades of the different brown.
Catherine's quite pale, but I take your point. Listen to some of these Facebook comments, Dennis. Peter says, oh my golly, what next? Beverly says, how ridiculous. It's just a bit of silliness in dressing up. We take these things too seriously. And Julie says, surely, in my opinion, this is fine labelled as a golly costume. It would be inappropriate if it was labelled as a black person costume. They don't seem to be too upset by it, Dennis.
Well, I'm sorry, there's something wrong with them as well, then.
Have a listen to this. I don't know if you heard Colin. Colin called up earlier on, and we talked about this. This is what Colin had to say.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Wow. So you don't think it's inappropriate for a white, middle-aged man to wear an outfit that has a black curly wig, a black face with a white mouth and eye holes, black gloves, white and black stripy trousers, and a black jacket? You don't think that's inappropriate?
No, I don't. I think it's just part of our history, and if we can't live up to our history, then there's something far wrong with this country.
Well, but also, would it be appropriate for someone to dress up as, for example, a slave, a black slave?
I personally wouldn't.
But would it be okay? It's part of our history, and if we can't live up to our history, as your argument, then where are we?
Well, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Why not dress up as a slave?
So it would be appropriate. It would be appropriate to go to a fancy dress party dressed up as a black slave.
Yeah. I think
Dennis, what do you make of that?
That's ridiculous, quite frankly. We should be living our history down, not up. We try to live it down. We did these things to people. Look, when I was very small, I had a black doll, and he was dressed like a little lad. And I thought it was marvellous. That is why I have never, ever looked at a person and said, well, don't like him because of his colour. I've got friends of all shades, and I hope they realise I am a friend.
Dennis, I appreciate your call. 08459 455 555. The sensitive side of Dennis there. His new LP. Dennis, they're saying it's inappropriate to have a golly costume. What do you think? 08459 455 555. On the subject of the couple who chained their dog up outside, it was electrocuted by faulty wiring. Andrew's in Bedford. Morning, Andrew.
Good morning, Ian.
It's a sad story, isn't it?
Yes, actually, the couple that did this were actually breaking the law. I was threatened with arrest on the 29th of March 2006 for doing the same thing, and it is actually an offence to leave your dog chained up in case it injures someone.
But yet we see it all the time, don't we?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean to say it's legal.
No, you're right. It doesn't mean to say it's legal. We do see lots of naughty things.
It's legal, and I contested it, and I'm reading here from the extracts that I got from the Police National Legal Database, because I was so incensed about it, and I didn't believe it was against the law. I went with the police officer that came into the shop where I was, where I tied my dog up, and I went to Bedford Police Station, and he did all these readouts, and he actually got the dog warden and another official to explain it to me. And it's an offence because if a child approaches your dog when it's tied up and it attacks it, then, you are in the wrong. And I said, well, isn't there up to parental control? They said, no, it's not. And under the law, you can go to prison for it for up to 2 years.
Wow. Well, Andrew, thank you for clearing that up. 08459 455 555. Now, Milton Keynes Hospital has decided to allow an anaesthetist back to work 9 months after he was suspended for allegedly falling asleep during an operation. The hospital trust launched an investigation into the staff member, believed to be in his 70s or 80s, after complaints from others present during the caesarean section procedure. They found the patient involved was not at risk, and the anaesthetist resumed his role at the hospital as well as a private clinic. Well, Labour councillor Nigel Long chairs the area's Health and Adult Social Care Committee. Morning, Nigel. What do you make of this?
Good morning. I think there are probably two different issues here from what I can see. One is, does it tell us something about staffing levels at the hospital? And by that I mean, were they so short of staff that they had to get somebody in to cover the role? Who wasn't, able to do that and stay awake. So that strikes me as one issue, staffing, and we know there are some big issues at the hospital. But the second issue is, having suspended this gentleman, shouldn't have been dealt with in weeks rather than months. So I think they're the two big issues that stand out for me.
Yes, 9 months suspension on full pay does seem a little bit extreme. I mean, I would have thought falling asleep during a procedure as delicate as a C-section, I would have thought that would have warranted an immediate sacking.
I'm not so sure about that, but I'm the director of an organisation, and whenever we have an issue with a staff member, as you do from time to time, we deal with it very quickly within weeks. We don't take months to deal with it, and it strikes me there might be an issue about the management or personnel skills up at the hospital and how they deal with these issues. I mean, there must be issues around doctors and other staff from time to time, and they must have processes that allow them to deal with it quickly, because 9 months is an awful lot of taxpayers' money being spent on somebody doing nothing.
And also, as we know,
on top of this, I think
hospitals are, they are strapped for cash. So to be paying someone who's not working, I'm assuming they would have to get someone, a locum or someone in to fill that gap. It's an expensive mess, isn't it?
It is, and the hospital uses a lot of locums who are very, very expensive. It's just not a good use of resources in a time when the government's cutting back resources to the NHS.
The gentleman in question would be in his late 70s, early 80s. I was quite shocked when I heard that. Do you think that's too old to practice?
I was shocked at the age, but there's some fabulous older people out there, and as I'm becoming a bit older myself now...
I see, Nigel, that's why you're taking this tack.
I think if the gentleman had the skills and can do the job properly, then there's no problem with it. I guess the question is whether he was able to do the job properly, and that must have been what the investigation looked at. So having older people do things is not a problem if they've got the skills. But if they're not up to the job, then they need to be dealt with properly and fairly.
It didn't seem to have the skills to stay awake. Should we be worried, Nigel?
Well, I think we're worried any time we hear there's a problem in a hospital. And I think it's about, again, having good management procedures so that if there is somebody who's not up to their job, then they need to be dealt with properly and fairly and within the law. And quickly, that's the point, isn't it? They need to be dealt with quickly. 9 months is an awful long period of time.
Nigel, I appreciate your time this morning. Always good to talk to Labour Councillor Nigel Long, chairs the Health and Adult Social Care Committee.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's in the, by the way, that story came from the Milton Keynes Citizen. Excellent bit of journalism there, you see. Support your local papers. Thank you for that. Story in the newspaper today, there is a golly costume for sale on Amazon. There are other things as well, including a Kenyan Prime Minister mask. I know. And there is a picture of a white guy wearing it. But focusing on this golly costume, should we be upset by it? Should we be offended? Or is it, as lots of you seem to be saying on Facebook, a bit of harmless fun? Peter's in Winslow. Peter, what do you think? Peter? Peter, I can hear you're there. Well, I can hear Peter. Can Peter hear me? Peter! 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 Maybe Peter's done an anaesthetist and fallen asleep on the job. I hope not. Peter! Kelly, I can't shout. Could you do a nice shout for Peter down the line, please? Because I can't shout. Could
Peter!
you... Catherine?
Peter Winslow!
Peter! Peter?
Maybe he's asleep. Peter!
Wake up, sleepy baby, is what my boys say to me when I'm asleep. Thanks, guys. Peter! Well, he's
definitely there.
Is he pranking us? Maybe he's bottled it.
No.
He's still there.
Oh, Peter!
Peter!
Hello.
What happened there? Peter?
Peter, you're live on Three Counties Radio.
Peter?
Maybe his name's not Peter.
Who are you?
Mate?
Mate? Maybe he's been... I don't want to be... But maybe he's being kidnapped or something and...
He sounded okay.
He
said hello.
Well, it sounded like he might have had a rag in his mouth. Something in his mouth. Peter!
Hello.
Yeah, we'll have to come back to you after this now.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
M11 northbound now closed between junction 7 for Harlow and 8 for Bishop Stortford. Steel cabling fell onto the road and there's a mile of traffic stuck inside the closure with queues on the approach. M25 anti-clockwise, heavy between junction 25 for Enfield and 24 for Potters Bar into the roadworks. Heavy also around junction 20 for Kings Langley and looking very slow around 16 for the M40. The A10 heading south is slow between Hoddesdon Roundabout and Bass Hill. Public transport has no reported problems. This is Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Alice, thank you very much. I've just had a tweet from Scott. Dennis is making sense. It's making me nervous. I know what you mean. 7:16, it's Friday the 15th of November. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. An elderly anaesthetist who allegedly fell asleep on duty at Milton Keynes Hospital has been allowed to return to work. An investigation is underway after a dog died after being electrocuted outside a shop in London Colney. And England's under-21s have gone 3 points clear at the top of their European Championship qualifying group after a 3-0 victory over Finland. The weather, it's going to be a dry day today with sunshine and light winds. Maximum temperatures of 10 degrees Celsius. 08459 455 555. Coming up, will Peter still be there?
BBC Three Counties Radio.
BBC Children in Need.
Cometh East Enders. Cometh Call the Midwife. Cometh Strictly Come Dancing. Cometh Doctor Who. Cometh Harry Hill, Catherine Tate, and One Direction. Cometh the Night. Cometh the Heroes.
Be a hero. Join in with BBC Children in Need. Tonight from 7:30 on BBC One and BBC One HD.
If you're doing anything for children in need and you want to big it up, 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. Peter, are you there? Peter? Peter? Oh, for goodness sakes. What is wrong with Peter? He's doing this deliberately so that I definitely... He's a fan of James Whale. He wants Whale in on a Monday. That's why he's doing it, so I have to shout. I know, I'm wise to you. on the subject of the golly costume, Joy says, I think I'll buy one just because I can. Andy says, oh, Andy, this is a lady, Andy. What seems to be the problem with it? Anyone who takes offence at the costume really needs to get a life. You don't... And now this is where her point falls down on the floor and rolls down the gutter. You don't see Royal Mail going on strike for postman pat costumes or nurses in uproar along with monks and vicars. I don't know if postmen have been subjected to hundreds of years of abuse, slavery, violence, things like that, whereas black people, I think they weren't they? I'm not really the right person, I guess. I guess we need to speak to a black person on the show, because I can't really communicate what a golly's not aimed at me, so I don't know. Steve's in Dunstable. Steve, what do you reckon?
Morning. It's our sense of humour, the British way of sense of humour. You cannot tell us how people how to think and what they should buy and what they should not buy. It's the way we are. It's a bit of harmless fun. And as for the slavery, why is it always blacks? The whites were sent first before the blacks. Why is it always the whites that are racist against blacks? Why not blacks against racist against whites? It does happen. It happens as much as the other way around. So why do you portray on the media there's always the white person being racist? When you get called a white honky, you just laugh your head off. We call them something else, and we're up for racism. You know what I mean? It's one-way traffic in this country. Simple as that. Slavery, you want to know your history about slavery, because whites was then.
I haven't been called a white honky since 1982.
Well, there you go then.
And
you're a white honky. Do you feel offended by that?
And also, at no point this morning have I said that... I've not said that slavery is not a two-way street.
No, well, but you might not have said that, right? But if you listen to your show yourself, it's perceived that way. And all across the media... When a black person, a race person is murdered by a white person, for some reason, it seems to be a racial incident. But when a white person gets murdered by the other way, oh no, it's never, them words are never used in the same context.
Steve, yes, they are. I've heard of white people being murdered by people of other colours, and it being described as a racial motive.
If it's not many, it's always outnumbered. It's the way the media perceives it, the way the people perceive the what.
So every time, Steve, we do a story that's that is implying there is perhaps a racism from white people towards black people. We have to counter that by saying, but just to remind you guys, black people can be racist as well. We have to counter that. I don't think we need to, Steve, because most people are intelligent enough to know that happens. We don't need to be reminded that black and Asian and Chinese people can be racist towards other races, because we know that. We know it happens.
Why do you always push it to the one way? Right, let's go back to the gollywog. Right, it's a bit of harmless fun. If people get offended, everyone gets offended about something. Other people might not. And that's just the way it is. That's just life. And then, as for the slavery, the whites went first, then the blacks followed, as far as I know. So even the whites should have a chip on the shoulder bit.
But blacks black people have suffered more in more recent times. Apartheid, segregation in the United States.
They're holding hatred.
These are all within living memory.
Yeah, but what are we supposed to do about it? We can't pussyfoot around people just because they've had this, because they've had that. We've got to crack on with life. At the end of the day,
and so by cracking on with life, you would dress up as in a black costume that was Steve. Let me finish. So to celebrate and moving on with life, you would dress up in a black costume whose origins are derived from the subjugation of black people.
It's nothing to do with that. It's actual just having a laugh. It's nothing to do. There's no direct link in the sense of humour. This time, the time's moved on. That was the past. We are the present. We're having a laugh. You're at a party. Someone comes with something else.
Maybe you can help me here, Steve, because I'm struggling a bit. What's funny about that costume?
No, I'm just saying it's a gollywog. So what?
But you're saying it's a bit of fun. So what's funny about that costume?
Well, it just is. We make fun of people. We make fun of every nation.
We make fun of black people.
Yeah, well, it's making fun, I suppose. It's making fun of... It's like other costumes. You make fun of other people in other costumes. But you don't hear anyone ranting and raving about that.
Give me an example. What other people...
I don't know. I don't wear costumes.
Well, no, you've raised it, so you must have an example in your head.
Doctors' uniforms. I don't know. An ugly uniform.
Doctors haven't, they haven't been subjected to the same treatment that black people have
Yeah, but it's
in the last.
past. Why is it always the blacks? What about the whites? We've been tortured and murdered in the gone past, but we don't have a go. Oh, you can't wear that uniform. Sorry. Oh, lardy-da, you've hurt my feelings.
But the gollywog costume was originated to make fun and demean black people. That's what that costume represents.
Well, the majority of the people who probably wear it, right, because at the end of the day, I'd say I'm probably too old, but if I did wear it, it'd have nothing to do with the fact of where it originates from, right? It's just there as a bit of fun, and that's the difference. People of this day and age probably don't know half of what you're on about and what I'm on about. They're in a different world to me.
What about going to a fancy dress party as... no, all right, as Hitler. Let's start with Hitler.
Go on, then, yeah, another one. What's wrong with dressing up as that? It's a free country.
Bit of fun. Okay, let's move it slightly then. How about dressing up for a fancy dress party as someone who was in a concentration camp?
Whatever.
Is that a bit of fun?
It can be to other people.
To dress up as someone who was in a concentration camp.
It's the context of the party. It's the context why you're wearing it. It's down to the actual person. What reason?
So if someone dress up in the stripy...
They're not going to wear it because they go, right, it's because it originates from black slavery.
So someone, Steve,
for that.
Someone dressed up in the blue and white striped outfits that look like a bit like pyjamas, maybe with a star on the front and a number, for a fancy dress party, that'd be all right. It's a bit of fun because it's out of context.
Yeah, and you think, well, no, it's not against the law to dress up, is it? Is it against the law to dress up how you like?
No, Steve, it's not. Thank you very much indeed. Remind me not to go to any of Steve's fancy dress parties. He set a very low standard, I think. Peter, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Peter, what can I do for you?
I think the first thing with Amazon is the manufacturer. Who actually made this outfit? Yeah, shouldn't we be targeting them as well? What sort of idiot would make such sort of outfit, really?
Well, it's sold by a company called Orion Costumes, and it's $39.99. You save £8. It comes in various different sizes. So you do... I'm clicking on Orion Costumes. Their other outfits include... OK, have a look. American football player, fine. A Brainiac lab coat. A sexy nurse costume... and a sexy schoolgirl costume set. It's some company, isn't it? Huh?
Yeah, I'm not too sure about the sexy schoolgirl thing, really, myself. But,
no, I never got the St Trinian's sexy schoolgirl thing. It just seems a little bit weird to me.
It does indeed.
Peter, I'm glad we got to speak to you in the end. Thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call about that. Now, an investigation has been launched after a dog was electrocuted outside a shop in London Colney. The Staffordshire Bull Terrier was left chained to the side of a shutter outside the Colney mini market in the High Street and was being looked after by its owner's 5-year-old nephew. Matthew Callum says the boy was lucky it was the dog and not the boy himself who touched the live shop front. Well, Matthew joins me now. Good morning, Matthew.
How you doing, mate?
Yeah,
you
I'm
right?
fine, thank you. Tell me what happened.
Well, it all started off with my sister was taking a dog for a walk. She was actually looking after it for a couple of days for me, just because obviously I leave him in the house and it's not fair on him. So my sister was taking him out, had us staying with him for a couple of days, walking him around. And what happened was she took him to a London Coney mini market where she tied him up outside to one of these shutters.
Yeah.
You have manual shutters and the guide's in the middle. What had happened when she tied him up outside to the shutter, she walked in the shop, and as she'd come out, people was telling her the dog was having some sort of fit. As she went back out then, and she was phoning me up hysterical, saying the dog was having a fit, he won't let go of the lead. The dog had actually bit the lead, turned and bit the lead.
Oh.
What had actually happened is there was a live cable that was touching the shutter, which had actually made it live. So once the dog had actually bit onto it, he couldn't actually let go, resulting in obviously him having an electric shock and dying. And I turned up on the scene, actually there and then, and the dog was dead outside the shop.
Mate, what a horrific image. I mean, that really is awful. What did you do then? You get to the shop, what happens then?
I got to the shop, and there was people outside standing there. My dog was laying on the floor. And as I grabbed the lead off of the dog and pulled it off of the dog, the second I took it off of the dog, my arm flew back. I got a shock straight off of it.
Yeah. Who did you call? Did you call the police?
I phoned the police.
Yep.
And I spoke to the council. The police come out, and they couldn't believe it. They didn't really know what was going on. They said they couldn't really do nothing. It's a civil matter. And then I spoke to the council. The council would then come out the next day and then had a look at the shop and advised him to turn the lights off. They didn't get an electrician out. It was only because my mum has actually phoned National Grid. If it wasn't for National Grid, then nothing else would have been done about it. National Grid sent someone out within 20 minutes and they tested the surrounding areas and the front of the shop, tested the front of the shop and filed a report saying that the shop is at fault.
Well, good on that. Matthew, stay there a second because I want to play you something. We sent our reporter, Justin Dealey, to speak to the owner of the shop yesterday. Just have a listen to what he had to say.
I never feel guilty on legally, but morally there's a dog died, so you feel sad about it, that's it.
Why didn't you close down immediately?
Because I never felt there was a problem and still believe that's the same thing. In my side of view, there was no problem.
So despite a dog being electrocuted by your shutter, you thought there wasn't a problem?
No, you're making it wrong. My shutter wasn't live wire or anything on there. There's enough people checked it, so it's only the council asked me to do it, I do it.
So if the council hadn't have told you to close, you would have kept on trading, you'd have kept your shop open?
Yes, because right after the incident there was a policewoman, and right after that there's an electrician from the dog corner. They all said there's no electricity. So why would I close that?
Well, Matthew, that was the shopkeeper speaking yesterday to our reporter. What do you make of that?
I reckon it's outrageous, to tell you the truth, mate, because National Grid actually tested it, and National Grid, I'd believe National Grid over a normal electrician, any of the electricians that he out anyway, personally.
What happens now, Matthew? Where do you take this now?
Well, it's all going through procedures. The council have actually filed a report on the shop itself. So obviously I don't understand what he's going with that comment there, because the council have actually stopped him from trading, but they didn't shut the shop down until actually Friday. So it happened on the Wednesday. So for Thursday it was still open. I went there at 7:30 in the morning and said, mate, you haven't even had this checked. Asked him to supply me legal certifications, and he's telling me to get a post-mortem done on my dog, which actually cost £670.
Finally, Matthew, your 5-year-old nephew, how is he? Is he all right?
He's all right. He's a bit traumatised still. Like he's crying at night times, obviously saying he misses the dog, and he thinks he keeps blaming himself because he said he couldn't help the dog, and I have to try and explain to him, but he's still young. He doesn't quite understand it. But it's not it's not good for a 5-year-old to witness that kind of thing.
That must be horrific for a 5-year-old to witness. Matthew, I really appreciate your time this morning. Do keep in touch and let us know how that story progresses. That's Matthew Callum. 08459 455 555 7:30. BBC Three Counties Radio. Let's get the latest travel news.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
M25 anti-clockwise, heavy around junction 20 for Kings Langley. So looking very slow between junction 18 for Chorleywood and 16 for the M4. Or struggling a little between 26 for Waltham Abbey and 24 for Potters Bar, just into the roadworks. There are the morning delays in Bricket Wood. The North Orbital is looking very slow around the M25 junction 21A roundabout. There are major problems heading to Stansted this morning. The M11 northbound is closed between junction 7 for Harlow and 8 for Bishop Stortford after some steel cabling fell onto the road. Public transport Greater Anglia have delays of up to 15 minutes possible from Cheshunt to Liverpool Street. This is Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7:30. I'm Barry Caffrey. The headlines: Milton Keynes Hospital has decided to allow an anaesthetist back to work 9 months after he was suspended for allegedly falling asleep during an operation. The hospital trust launched an investigation into the staff member, believed to be in his 70s or 80s, after complaints from others present during the caesarean section procedure. Officials in the Philippines say the number of people killed in last week's typhoon has now reached 3,500. They also say efforts to deliver aid could have begun faster, but the damage to infrastructure made it impossible. An investigation is underway into how a dog was electrocuted outside a shop in London Colney. Its owner had chained it to the shutter of the Colney mini market on the High Street. Organisers of Children in Need hope tonight's event will smash last year's fundraising record of almost £27 million. One Direction, Torval and Dean and the cast of EastEnders will be among those taking part. And the weather dry today with clear spells and light winds. There'll be plenty of sunshine around too. Maximum temperatures of 10 degrees Celsius. That's 50 degrees Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
England under-21s were comfortable winners in their European Championship qualifier against Finland in Milton Keynes last night. Alistair Bruce Ball was watching.
Gareth Southgate's team continued their serene progress in this group, playing some eye-catching stuff again, and West Brom striker Saido Berahino is building a very impressive international record. 6 goals in just 4 games for him in this group, and he would have had a hat-trick but for one second-half effort coming back off the bar. But there were plenty of other players who caught the eye. The Southampton duo of Luke Shaw and James Ward-Prowse, Wilfred Zaha, who looked so desperate to show what he could do, and Ravel Morrison linking it together in the number 10 role behind Berahino. Finland played the last 20 minutes with 10 men after right-back Patrick O'Shaughnessy was sent off. England were well in control tonight, and they are well in control of this group.
Watford and MK Dons have a free weekend due to international fixtures, but Luton play their 6th away match in a row tomorrow as the Hatters head to Chester in the conference. Wickham are at home to Cheltenham in League 2 and Stevenage host Rotherham in League 1. The Borough manager Graham Westley comes up against another boss with a big reputation, Steve Evans.
Steve's a alright guy. People read him as a fiery character, and a lot of it's just huff and puff. He's a guy who's willing to smile away from his football, and he's got a job to do in the dugout, and he plays with that fire. But he's a pussycat, really.
Rugby and fly half Dan Carter will earn his 100th cap for the New Zealand All Blacks when they face England tomorrow at Twickenham. Carter's hoping for a better outcome than when the sides last met, and England ran out 38-21 winners.
It's pretty obvious that we want to play better than we did last year. It wasn't our best game, so we just have to make sure that we improve from last week. We realise we're up against a strong English side that are in form. They've shown what they're capable of in the last 12 months, so we have to just keep continuing to work hard as we do and put in a good performance out on the pitch on Saturday.
Well, locally, Bedford take on Moseley in the Championship this evening at Goldington Road. The Blues have picked up just 1 win from 7 in the league and are 9th in the table. England's bowlers are continuing to be made to work hard as they struggle to take wickets against an Australian Invitational 11 in Sydney. Joe Root hit 75 as England were bowled out for 418 for a first innings lead of 114. However, the hosts have now reached 123 for 2 in their second innings. BBC Three Counties Radio News and Sport. I'll be back with a full bulletin at 8.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning. Busy show this morning. Lots to talk about, and you are picking up your phones and dialing. Do give me a call. 08459 455 555. The golly costume that's being sold on Amazon. If you want to see it, it's on the Facebook page, facebook.com/BBC3CR. Not too many of you that shocked by it. Some of you saying, oh yeah, I'll buy it. Yeah, I'd buy it and wear it to a party. Really? Would you? Really? I think it's pretty outrageous. 08459 455 555. Also, do give us a call this morning if you're doing anything for children in need. You could. We don't normally do this on this show, but you can come on. You can come on and big yourself up. Give a shout out. I think that's what they say, isn't it, Catherine?
Yes.
Excellent stuff indeed. Andy's in Milton Keynes. Good morning, Andy.
Good morning.
On the subject of this golly costume, what do you think?
Well, it's not necessarily the golly costume, any costume that you might buy. I mean, you have to put it into context and decide whether or not you can wear that particular item without causing offence. It's about where you might wear it.
Could you wear that golly costume without causing offence?
Personally, no, because I have a quite diverse range of friends, and some really wouldn't appreciate it. But in the same way that I couldn't necessarily dress up as an Arab, which I might have done some time ago, go to a party, sort of blinged up, as it were, because that would now cause offence.
It's interesting, isn't it? You're right, how our attitudes change. There was a story in the paper, I think it was last week, how some group, I don't know who it was, are trying to stop people wearing Mexican sombreros and big droopy moustaches and wearing ponchos because it could be deemed as racist towards Mexicans. Now, is that the same thing, or is that going too far?
I actually worked with a Mexican who during the Olympics last year, we suggested that it would be a bit of fun for us to man-hour control centre in like ethnic costumes. And they suggested to him that he might wear the like a national costume, and he really took offence. He really got quite cross with us. We couldn't see the funny side, but this is basically the same thing, I guess.
Really? He got offended by it? What did he say?
Well, he said, what do you think I'm, some sort of peasant? He highly qualified engineer, very intelligent man. He just got very upset about it.
Andy, thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. Some texts here. Ev in Luton. So it's not OK to wear Jimmy Savile costume or a mental patient because a few children got molested. You just read that sentence again. So, it's not OK to wear Jimmy Savile costume or a mental patient because a few children got molested. I guess the question is, why would you want to wear a Jimmy Savile costume? Why would you want to dress up as one of Britain's most notorious and lucky paedophiles? But it's OK to dress as a golly. You can't even black up for a play. I would imagine quite a few black people will be quite angry. Tell them to wear the costume somewhere there's a lot of black people and then say it's OK. Dear Lee, says Richie, I'm part Jewish. I've been to fancy dress parties and people dressed up as Adolf Hitler. I've never been offended. Phil the Fruit. Phil, what on earth are you talking about? You've completely confused this gentleman with Aaron Barshak. Shall I read the text? Remember how Russell Brand got famous? He dressed up as Osama bin Laden and climbed the palace wall or something. No, he didn't. That was a chap called Aaron Barshak. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Well, Justin Dealey has been out and been getting people's opinions on this. I'm quite surprised, Justin, that the majority of people seem to think, dressing up as a golly, it's fine, it's OK.
Well, you might be surprised by the voices you're about to hear as well, because I have been asking members of the black community if they're offended by this costume, and here's what they had to say.
So I don't find it racially offensive myself, unless somebody was actually directing the comment towards me.
So if you went to a fancy dress party and somebody was in that costume, you genuinely wouldn't be offended by that? You don't think that's making fun of you?
No, only unless they were trying to use kind of racial language to say, oh, well, I'm your brother or something like that, then obviously, yes, I would find it offensive.
Oh, that's interesting.
But just wearing the costume itself, no.
Morning, Tyrone. I'm showing you a picture here of this costume. Do you think that's racist?
No, that's not racist. It's been going years and years before racism came into existence. And a gollywog is not racist, it's fun. It's for kids, it's fun.
So if you went to a fancy dress party and you saw somebody in that costume in the year 2013, you would see that as fun and nothing more sinister?
Nothing more sinister than just fun. It wouldn't be racist, not in my eyes anyway.
When I've spoken about this in the past, some members of the black community get very, very upset about this. What would you say to them if they're listening to this right now?
I'd ask them 3 questions. Are they black? Yes, they're black. Are they ashamed of being black? No, they're not ashamed of being black. So what's their problem? That's my point. I'm black, I'm a Jamaican, I'm black.
But you don't think that demeans the black community and makes fun of them?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I don't think it does. Any more than a teddy bear or a Cindy doll.
There's the picture, sir. Are you offended by that?
No, it's just, as far as I'm concerned, British people's sense of humour. It's that. It is what it is, isn't it? A black man's a black man, a gollywog's a gollywog.
Norman, this costume, does that offend you?
Well, as a matter of fact, yeah. To have that as a fancy dress, I don't think it's appropriate, really.
If you saw somebody wearing that at a party, would you say to them, what you're doing is not right? Would you go and have a conversation with that person?
No, I'll just look at them.
So if somebody's wearing that costume, quite simply, in your opinion, they're a racist?
Yeah.
That's interesting, Justin. Maybe it's one of those things where I am a white middle-class person, you're a white working-class person, and maybe we don't have the right to say if it's offensive or not. Maybe it's us being that oversensitive, liberal BBC, and we don't have a right to say whether it's offensive or not.
No, I think you're right there. I think that's why this morning I specifically spoke to black members of the community to get their views on this, because when I saw it this morning, I thought that is offensive. If I went to a party and I saw somebody wearing that costume, to me personally, I would think there was something wrong with that person. But as you say, I'm a white person, so my opinion doesn't really count. But fascinating to hear those views, in particular from that man there who said it's fun and it's about the children. You know, children wearing a costume like this, that's all it it is, nothing sinister, it's just about having fun, which I found incredible.
Justin, great interviews. Thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. Mary's in Bovingdon. Morning, Mary.
Good morning.
What can you tell me?
Just that when I was a visitor in Australia recently, going down one of the arcades, there were lots of toys, gollywogs in a shop. So it provoked me to go in and have a look and ask them about it. I said, I'm so interested to see you've got gollies, because my children had gollywogs and neighbour children, and I asked, she said, I've got the meaning of it, and she gave me a leaflet, which I can't find now, otherwise I'd post it to you. But the meaning there in Australia is that the British soldiers were Egypt or somewhere out in that region, and the children out there used to play with the dolly, and the spelling was almost identical to gollywog. And when on the return home, British soldiers brought it home for their children. And that's the gollywog was never a black man, it was a dolly. According to this literature. So maybe so dressing up, maybe it's like dressing up as a rag doll or Pinocchio or anything, because I think sometimes people get lost in the meaning. Many years ago, the other meaning I had for the name was told that the letters G, which was not gollywog, was a Western Oriental gentleman, obviously dressing up smartly in a suit. But I don't believe that one. But the Australian meaning that they're giving out leaflets to everybody that asked about it, obviously, or buying a gollywog, was that it was the soldiers on their return home brought this dolly back for their children to play with, or a toy. Don't necessarily have to be a dolly, but it was a toy, and it was what the children in Egypt or that area played with.
Mary, listen, thank you for that. I'm just going to move on just because I want to squeeze in John from Watford before that, but thank you very much indeed. John is in Watford. Morning, John.
Hi, good morning there.
John, what would you like to say?
Basically, I'd just like to ask your opinion on a costume that's actually just appeared on your Facebook link.
Okay, I'm just trying to...
About this.
Go on, I'm just trying to find it. You carry on.
Okay, it's actually just called the white trash costume.
Right.
Basically, it's a person dressed in a white bin, which I consider to be racist against white people.
Tell me why you consider it to be racist.
It's basically just the actual term itself, white trash. You often think of perhaps less well-off people, sort of white people. You often hear the term perhaps in soap, on TV, which is kind of ignored.
Oh, I've just got the costume. There we go. White trash costume. Let's have a little look.
It's just kind of, if there's one rule for the gollywog costume, surely there should be one rule for the white trash costume.
It's a white person wearing a bin. I don't think white trash is a racist term, though, is it? Because it's not directed at the entire white community. It's a very specific reference, normally an American reference. So it's not racist. It might be classist. But it's not racist, is it, John?
I think it's right. I think the term white actually means it is racist.
No, the term white means white. It means it's a white person. That's not necessarily a racist term. Like saying black isn't necessarily a racist term, is it?
Yeah, but
it's descriptive.
The term white trash is racist.
No, you're wrong, because you're not, John. You're not. It's not focusing purely on an ethnic group, is it? It's a subsection.
Well, the ethnic groups, the white...
No, it's not. Community. It's not, because it's a subsection of the white community. So it's not offensive to all of white people. It's a descriptive term.
Quite a lot of white people would actually find that offensive, just as gollywog.
John, can I ask you an honest question? Can I ask you an honest question?
Far away.
You're pretending to be offended by this, aren't you? To make a point, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But you're not really offended by the term white trash, are you?
I am. When I see people complaining, and I can understand that some people may get offended by the gollywog costume, but at the same time, there are people like myself who probably find this offensive.
It's interesting It's interesting what you're about to say, and you pulled back from it. I said, you're not really offended by it. You said, yes, I am when people... And the implication was you're going to say when people bang on about golly costumes. So you're only offended... So you're only offended when other people put up a fuss and a stink about golly costumes. At normal times, you're not offended by it.
Well, if I see the white trash, if somebody was at a party wearing that white trash costume, then yes, I'll probably say, well, hang on a minute, that's offensive to myself.
Okay. John, interesting point. Not particularly well made, but I appreciate you having a go. 08459 455 555. A little bit later than usual. Let's get the travel.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
M25 anti-clockwise, queuing from junction 18 for Chorleywood up to 16 for the M40. It's also heavy now from before junction 26 for Waltham Abbey up to 24 for Potters Bar through the roadworks. Major problems if you're heading to Stansted today. The M11 northbound is closed between junction 7 for Harlow and 8 for Bishop Stortford. It's also making things slow in that general area as people divert away. The A5 southbound in Kensworth is slow between Lynch Hill and Hollybush Lane. Public transport Greater Anglia have delays of up to 15 minutes on between Cheshunt and Liverpool Street. This is Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Alice, thank you very much. Right, 7:48, Friday the 15th of November. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. An elderly anaesthetist who was caught sleeping on the job has been allowed to return back to work at Milton Keynes Hospital. An investigation is underway into how a dog was electrocuted outside a shop in London Colney. Its owner had chained it to the shutter of the Colney mini market in the High Street. In sport, England's under-21s have gone 3 points clear at the top of their European Championship qualifying group after a 3-0 victory over Finland at the MK Stadium last night. Do give me a call, 08459 455 555. We'll talk some more after the latest weather with Elizabeth.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello, very good morning to you. Today's going to turn out to be a very pretty day, I think, across the three counties. Lots of sunshine around and it will be dry, a very crisp late autumn's day, but it's a rather chilly start. We've got temperatures at the moment between sort of 2-3 degrees really across the three counties, and now as we head through the rest of the morning, those temperatures will slowly rise, only to around 7 or 8 degrees. They might even see a 9 somewhere. That would be 48 in Fahrenheit, so slightly below perhaps what we'd expect at this time of year, but lots of sunshine to compensate. The winds are lighter than they were yesterday too, but still rather chilly coming from a northerly direction. Now for this evening and overnight, it's going to be clear and cold, colder than it was last night. Temperatures quite readily, I think, in the countryside dropping below freezing. We'll see some mist and fog patches into tomorrow, as well as a widespread frost. So for tomorrow then, the mist and fog will be quite slow to clear with only very light winds, but it will eventually lift and clear. It'll be quite patchy, it won't be widespread, and many of us starting the day off on a bright note. We'll see some sunny spells around through the morning, first part of the afternoon away from the mist and fog patches, but it will cloud over again towards the end of the day. But tomorrow it will stay dry, temperatures at around 9 or 10 degrees. Sunday too, mostly dry, a few outbreaks of light rain I think into the afternoon, and rather a cloudy day. More wet weather around on Monday and turning very cold on Tuesday and Wednesday. That's the forecast.
Helen Lee.
Next week is National Prisons Week, a way of promoting the needs of people involved in the judicial system.
A lot of these people are not bad people. They've done bad things, but they're not bad people.
I'll be starting our coverage this Sunday morning when I hear from ex-offenders.
The situation I was in, I begged them to send me to prison.
Partners, prison governors, judges and victims.
And I was just totally stunned. I just sat and sat and sat.
They all have very different points of view. But what's yours? Listen from 6 on Sunday morning and have your say.
Helen Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio.
So imagine this, you pop down to the shops with your dog, you tie your dog up outside the shop, as a lot of people do, you come back and the dog has been electrocuted because the post, the shutter that you tied your dog to was live. 08459 455 555. John's in Luton. Morning, John.
Good morning, boss.
Great to have you back on board, John. Cracking call yesterday. What can I do for you today?
Boss, I'm a little bit confused. I'm sorry about this man and his family, and I'm sorry for the dog that lays dead. But they put that dog, chained that dog to that post.
Yeah.
It's a criminal offence.
It is a criminal offence. I didn't know that until this morning, and someone told us. But still, people do it.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't warrant a dog dying, does it, John?
No, it doesn't, boss. But the thing is, that goes to the courts. You know, if he takes that action against that shopkeeper, he'll go to the courts and the judge will just throw it out because it's a criminal offence.
But will the judge throw it out? Because I would imagine, I don't know the laws on shops, but I would imagine it's a criminal offence to have a live shutter that could electrocute people and things.
I quite agree, but that wouldn't have taken offence. That wouldn't have activated live if that dog wasn't chained up against that dog shutter and able to bite into that electric wire. But it's exactly the same. If you're outside a shop with the railings, blocks the shops and the payoff, you put a dog on there and the police come along, they can arrest you because it's a criminal offence.
I think that the thing that concerns me about that story, John, is the fella's 5-year-old nephew got to see it. That must be horrific.
Well, yeah, I quite agree. I saw a dog get electrocuted, and it's horrific to see. Well, I've never seen a human get electrocuted, but to see a dog.
When did you, without going into too much detail, when did you see a dog being electrocuted, John?
Oh, no, I'm going back, boss, well, you're talking about 20 years ago in Luton. And that done exactly the same thing. That bit through a wire.
John, listen, really great call. Thanks very much for phoning up.
OK, boss.
Have a great weekend. Speak next week.
OK, boss.
Thank you, John. 08459 455 555. Now, here on this show, we do like to get stories from you, whether they're huge, massive things or tiny little things. Anything that's bothering you, send me an email, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. Well, someone has got in touch with us, Sylvia, and we've been looking into a situation in Wheathampstead on her behalf. She emailed to tell me that people there are worried about the planned extension to St Helens Church, which may involve graves being moved. Well, the Reverend Richard Banham is the rector at St Helens Church. Good morning, Richard. The people of Wheathampstead aren't particularly happy, are they?
Lots of them are very happy. It's certainly not true to say that everyone's unhappy. Wheathampstead is a beautiful village and has a real sense of community and a real village spirit. And the church plays a really important part in that. A massive percentage of the village visit the church over the course of the year, and the church exists to serve the village community.
This building you're going to build, it's quite big, can hold 100 people, 120 people?
The main room will hold just under that, around 100 people for a function.
And is the design in keeping with the Grade 1 listed church?
The design has been worked on over years, and we've worked with English Heritage and with the local planners and with the Preservation Society, which Nigel Oxley, your previous caller, is a part of. We've worked with them on a number of different designs, consulting with people along the way, and yes, we feel that it reflects the surrounding buildings in its style, with its gables, etc.
It's going to be brick, isn't it? It's going to be brick, and the church is flint. Is that correct?
That's right. But the churchyard setting is surrounded by a brick wall, surrounded by brick buildings, and we want to use a tone of brick which matches in with that, so that it blends in with the surroundings as well as complementing the church.
Why do you need such a big extension, Reverend?
Well, it's not huge. It's the size of a church hall.
Well, 100, something that can hold 100 people, that's quite big, isn't it?
Well, the church holds 300 people, so it is in proportion. It's smaller than the church, it's lower than the church, and it's been, to our mind, beautifully designed. Why do we need such a big building, or this size of building? To serve the community. The church is a part of the village, an essential part of the village, right at the centre of the village, and we need it to hold the functions that we'd like to for the elderly and the isolated. There are very few facilities for young people in the village. So we really want to be at the centre of the community, making a difference for the benefit of all of the villagers of Wheathampstead.
One of Nigel's complaints was that there won't be any extra parking added. What would your response to that be?
He's right. We ask all the church users to park considerately on the local streets, but also to use the free local car park, which is only a few hundred yards away. The council's extending that at the moment because they recognise the need for parking in the village, and they're making good provision.
What about the graves, Reverend? What's going to happen to those?
That's a really sensitive issue, isn't it? Lots of people are concerned about that. We've worked really hard with the architect, and we'll continue to work with them to make sure that the human remains, the people there, are left undisturbed, so that the human remains will be treated with a reverence and sensitivity that's absolutely fitting, and of course the church would consider that of paramount importance.
But will you be moving graves?
We're going to move the memorial stones and keep the graves, the human remains, undisturbed. So the gravestones will be relocated somewhere sensitively within the churchyard, but they are then almost all of them are around 100 years old. There are only 2 graves that are tended by residents or people locally, and we've consulted with them, and they're given their verbal consent for the project to go ahead and for their stones to be moved.
When are you expecting a decision on the application?
Well, as you said, a statement from St Albans District Council is that they don't have a date yet, and we look forward to working with them, with English Heritage and with the other interested parties to come up with the right design and the right facilities for the beautiful village of Wheathampstead.
Do you think, final question, Richard, you heard we spoke to Nigel Oxley, who lives opposite the church. Do you think he's just being a NIMBY?
Nigel's very passionate about this, and we've worked with Nigel over a number of years. I'm slightly hurt by the suggestion that there's been no consultation. We have worked with Nigel and with other interested parties over the years. When we had this latest set of plans, we printed 1,000 leaflets and distributed those around the village. We left them in the doctors and the post office and all sorts of places. We put up posters around the village and held 4 open meetings to allow the residents to view the plans and proposals, lots of whom did and lots of whom were supportive. Nigel's got his passionate views, and we look forward to working with him and with the interested parties to come up with what's right for the village.
Richard, that was a wonderfully diplomatic answer. Thank you very much indeed. Listen, nice to talk to you this morning. That's the Reverend Richard Banham. He's the rector at St Helen's Church.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
M25 anti-clockwise, still queuing between junction 17 now for Maples Cross and 16 for the M40. Also heavy around the roadworks at junction 26 for Waltham Abbey through to 24 for Potters Bar. Major problems heading to Stansted on the M11 today. Northbound is closed between junction 7 for Harlow and 8 for Bishop Stortford. And Little Haddon, the A120, slow in both directions at Albury Road. And on the public transport, Greater Anglia have delays of up to 15 minutes between Cheshunt and Liverpool Street. This is Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much indeed. Right, the last hour of the show is approaching. Give us a call, 08459 455 555. Churches, gollies and dogs. Wow, what a heady mix.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock, I'm Barry Caffrey. The headlines: anaesthetist who fell asleep while on duty at Milton Keynes Hospital allowed to return to work. Efforts to distribute aid in the Philippines has been stepped up, and investigation launched into how dog was electrocuted outside London Colney shop.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Milton Keynes Hospital has decided to allow an anaesthetist back to work 9 months after he was suspended for allegedly falling asleep during an operation. The hospital trust launched an investigation into the staff member, believed to be in his 70s or 80s, after complaints from others present during the caesarean section operation. Labour councillor Nigel Long chairs the area's Health and Adult Social Care Committee.
I think we're worried any time we hear there's a problem in a hospital. And I think it's about, again, having good management procedures so that if there is somebody who's not up to their job, then they need to be dealt with properly and fairly and within the law. And quickly, that's the point, isn't it? They need to be dealt with quickly. 9 months is an awful long period of time.
The Philippines government says it now believes almost 3,500 people were killed by Typhoon Haiyan, an increase of more than 1,000. It has also acknowledged that the relief effort could have got underway faster, but was impeded by damage to the country's infrastructure. Rajesh Merchandani now reports from the central city of Tacloban.
The biggest problem for the relief effort has been the scale of the devastation. Those who are supposed to be the first responders were also among the victims. Barely a quarter of the police force has showed up for work this week. The Secretary of the Interior, who is overseeing the response, told me with roads blocked and infrastructure destroyed, it's also been hard to get relief supplies out to the people. But it is starting to happen. The main roads in Tacloban are now clear, even if body bags still line them. And UN agencies are confident the operation is in full swing 1 week on.
An investigation's underway into how a dog was electrocuted outside a shop in London Colney. The dog had been chained to the shutter of the Colney mini market in the High Street. Matthew Callum was the owner of the dog and he told Iain this morning what happened.
As she went back out then, and she was phoning me up hysterical, saying the dog was having a fit, he won't let go of the lead. The dog had actually bit the lead, turned and bit the lead. And what had actually happened is there was a live cable that was touching the shutter, which had actually made it live. So once the dog had actually bit onto it, he couldn't actually let go.
Well, in a statement, St Albans District Council said the shop would remain closed until a full electrical safety inspection had been completed. Only then, it said, would it make a decision on whether to lift the prohibition notice and open the shop again to the public. Organisers of Children in Need hope tonight's event will smash last year's fundraising record of almost £27 million. One Direction, Torval and Dean and the cast of EastEnders will be among those taking part. Sports news, and England under-21s were comfortable winners in their European Championship qualifier last night against Finland, and that was at Milton Keynes. The Young Lions won by 3-0 with Saido Berahino scoring 2 and Michael Keane getting the other at Stadium MK. The weather dry today with clear spells and light winds. Plenty of sunshine around. 10 degrees Celsius maximum temperatures expected. That's 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Local and vocal across Beds, Herts and Bucks. We're coming to towns and villages all across our counties.
We've only got money and it's quite an upbeat environment to live in, so I quite like it.
BBC Three Counties Radio's big tour of Beds, Herts and Bucks.
It's always nice when you don't have to feel afraid when you go out at night.
All this week in Welwyn Garden City.
It's as towns should be. It's as housing should be.
Local and vocal. The big tour of Beds, Herts and Bucks. BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. The Voice is holding up just... I'm not saying a thing over the weekend. Not a thing. What have we got between now and 9 o'clock? Well, it's emerged an anaesthetist was suspended from Milton Keynes Hospital after complaints he fell asleep during a C-section. He's in his late 70s or early 80s. Well, when did you decide you were actually too old to work? A London Colney family is furious after their dog was electrocuted by a faulty shop front. We'll have more on that. And after the mental patient costume row around Halloween, Amazon are up to it again. This time, they're selling a golly costume. Getting a very mixed response from you. Some of you think it's disgusting. Some of you think, it's just a bit of fun, come on. We've even had one caller suggesting that actually you can dress up as anything, even going to a fancy dress party as a concentration camp prisoner would be acceptable. Well, don't invite me to that one. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text 81333, start your text 3CR, or you can give me a phone call 08 459 455 555.
Across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
An elderly anaesthetist who allegedly fell asleep on duty at Milton Keynes Hospital has been allowed to return to work. In a statement, the Trust said it happened during a caesarean section procedure, but the patient involved was not put at risk. I'm joined now by Dr. William Harrop-Griffiths, who's the president of the Association of Anaesthetists. Falling asleep during a C-section, it sounds a little bit worrying. William?
It is worrying. Now, I don't know the exact details of what happened, but if it's true that the anaesthetist fell asleep during the caesarean section, it's not something really that we as anaesthetists would want to happen. It's very, very unlikely as well. Can I just reassure any of your listeners out there, and particularly those who may be heading off to hospital today for an operation, that this is a phenomenally rare event.
Oh, exactly, and I think that's why we're drawing attention to it, that this is not a standard, and we are in no way suggesting that. Why is it important for anaesthetists to stay awake during a C-section? Surely once they've done their bit, they're not needed anymore.
Well, see, their bit starts before the operation and finishes after the operation, and the really key bit is during the procedure. Things can go wrong in perfectly straightforward anaesthetics. The vast majority are absolutely incredibly safe, but when things go wrong during an anaesthetic, they can go wrong very quickly, which means the anaesthetist has to be eternally vigilant and may have to respond very, very quickly. An example may be if the patient was asleep, a breathing tube could disconnect. And if you stop getting oxygen to your lungs and to your brain, you've got about 4 or 5 minutes before things can get serious. So you need somebody awake and watching you the whole time, and that's one of the important jobs of the anaesthetist.
Now, the Association of Anaesthetists that you represent were one of the first groups to highlight the problems of fatigue, weren't you, in doctors?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. We had a lot of our members saying that their working patterns were making them really quite tired. These were changes related to the working time regulations. I won't go into details because you want to keep your listeners awake as well. But that happened in the early 2000s. So we produced a document in 2004 called Fatigue at Anaesthetists, that try to point out why this happened and what you can do about it. So we're saying that every single doctor in the country and the world's got a responsibility to make sure that they are 100% fit to work, and there's an onus on us to make sure that we're fit and not tired. There's an onus on our employers to make sure that we don't work in a way that makes us tired.
This gentleman was, we think, in his late 70s, early 80s. That does seem quite old for something like being an anaesthetist when you do have to be alert and on the ball.
Do you know, this is a real worry, not just for anaesthetists, but for doctors and probably for patients as well, because I received a letter a couple of weeks ago telling me that my pension age had just gone up from 65 to 66. And as you know, it's going to be 68 fairly soon. I'm not convinced that the public want increasingly elderly doctors looking after them. What we do know, and I can't refer to this particular individual, but we do know that the older you get, the worse your sleep is. The older you get, the worse your concentration can be. And the older you get, the more difficult it is to respond to sudden crises that are outside of your normal experience. So every age is at a different rate. But I think I would like to see a fairly young, vibrant anaesthetist looking after me for a major operation. Having said that, every doctor is checked carefully every year, and somebody of this age would have been checked that he was competent, that he was safe, and may well have been checked by occupational health. So you can't just work until you fall over. You are checked carefully within the current systems.
We are hearing lots about staff shortages at hospitals. So do you think that sometimes maybe those checks are perhaps not done as thoroughly as they ought to be?
Do you know what? I've run a huge anaesthetic department, and for me, that was one of the most important things, to make sure that people are checked. I don't think it's about the checks. I think there are impacts of financial pressures, because more and more anaesthetists are doing really long operations on their own. There are fewer anaesthetists available. They're not getting breaks. And what we do know is that if you work for several hours without a break, your concentration can lapse. So I don't think it's about checking anaesthetists, but I think it's not just anaesthetists. The pressures on the NHS can mean that doctors are more likely to become fatigued.
Thank you very much for your time this morning. Dr. William Harrop Griffiths, President of the Association of Anaesthetists. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Also talking about this story, a family tied up a dog outside a shop. They came back, the dog was dead. He'd been electrocuted by the shutter that he'd been tied to. Nick's in St Albans. Morning, Nick. You know the family, do you?
Well, I do, yeah, I know a lot of the family. But I was listening to you earlier, it just annoyed me. The fella rang you up and he said, well, it's actually illegal to tie your dog outside. But rather than saying picture, they've had a dog. Now, to be honest, I'm not too fussed with animals and that, but I know my mum's got a dog, and they treat it like it's one of their own, one of the family.
Yeah.
Now their little brother stood there and watched that dog electrocuted. He's only 5. It was traumatic for him. Not only that, if he'd have touched the dog while that was happening or tried to help him, that could have potentially killed the kid as well. Now, they said, mate, he said about tying the dog up outside the shop. I'm not being funny. I heard on your show the other day that even people with blind dogs are getting refused entry of shops. Now, people walk the dog down, take the dog for a walk. They go to nip in the shop. So if you can't tie the dog outside the shop for a couple of minutes while you get a bit of milk, a newspaper or whatever, what are you meant to do?
I guess you go into the shop when you've not taken the dog out for a walk.
Well, come on, let's get it right. You go for a walk and you want to nip in and get a newspaper. What, you're not allowed to tie dogs? I know, you get people leave children outside shops, you know what I mean?
know, they do. You see them leaving buggies and things like that. But apparently, and I didn't know this until this morning, it is illegal to tie a dog outside a shop.
Yeah, I know, the law, we all know the law will make you laugh. It's illegal to tie a dog outside a shop. It's illegal to take a dog in a shop. It's illegal. But what I'm saying is, it's harmless. You get people, everywhere you go, old people, young people, tie the dog to the railing there, nip in the shop, get the paper. But it's just what makes me laugh. People see, rather than see the main picture, a family that have gone down to the shop, tied the dog outside the shop, nipped into a little shop. So it's not like they've gone into Morrison's or something, done a week's shopping.
Yeah.
They've gone in to get a pack of fags or whatever. 2 minutes, the dog's been killed, and then you've got people saying, well, it's actually illegal to tie. The dog's been killed. You've got a little 5-year-old kid that stood there and watched that dog die like that.
It is very sad. Nick, have you spoken to the family or seen the family since it happened?
I haven't, no. The ones, I know the very well. I know of these ones as well, but from what I've heard, they're going over it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
Nick, well, yes, thank you very much. I appreciate your self-censorship. 08459 455 555. And I think the two key things here, aren't there? One, that a dog has died. Two, that a 5-year-old boy got to see it. That's the thing that really hits home. Hey, Catherine, you got a massive grin on your face. What's going on?
I can't say.
Is it top secret?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, exciting. Are you leaving?
No.
Oh.
I'd be grinning more.
Oh, cheeky. Maggie's in Milton Keynes. Morning, Maggie.
Good morning. I listen every morning to Three Counties Radio and I wouldn't miss it.
Well, bless you for that, Maggie, and we appreciate you listening.
But the thing is, I think this country, I don't know what's happening to it.
Go on.
Now, I've got a little jolly golly on my key ring. And when I had gollies when I was very, very young, and we call them jolly gollies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I didn't put that on my key ring to offend anyone. Now, I'm Irish and I came here when I was 17. I was called a Mick, a Paddy. But this day and age today, it's supposed to be freedom of speech. Now, you can't say anything, because every time you do, you're racist. It's because I'm black. Now, that little white soldier that was hacked down with 2 black blokes.
OK, well, listen, Maggie, we can't talk about that because that's an ongoing court case.
No,
but we can't talk about that because that's an ongoing court case.
It's the opposite way round.
Right, but we can't, Maggie, we can't talk about that case because it's in court at the moment, so we're legally not allowed to. It's not me being liberal or lefty.
Very, very lenient in this country. And when I'm out, I'm frightened to look at somebody or say something in case I'm done for racism. Now,
but Maggie, you'd only be done for racism if you said something racist, wouldn't you?
Well, you offend me as well when you said about white trash. I'm not white trash.
I didn't say you were white trash, although...
You said it was all right. Did that offend people? Of course it's going to offend people.
Who's it going to offend?
White people. That you'd offend black people if you said something racist.
Why does the phrase white trash offend you? Tell me why.
Because I'm not white trash.
I didn't say you were white trash. The term white trash isn't aimed at you. It's aimed at a specific communities in America, primarily.
White people in general. They're going to be offended by that.
I'm not offended by the term white trash.
If you a little gully, or you got a little jolly gully, it's offensive. Come on.
Should we be able to dress up as anything we want for fancy dress parties?
Of course you should.
A concentration camp survivor.
No, now we're going...
You've just said we could. You've just said we can dress up as anything, but suddenly there's a limit.
No. That is a different matter altogether.
But you see the confusion, Maggie. You made a good point. And the confusion is you've just said we can dress up as anything we want, and then the first example I've given you said, not that. So who? But yet other people thought that a concentration camp survivor outfit or prisoner outfit would be acceptable. Maggie, I've got to move on. 08459 455 555 816 BBC Three Counties Radio. Here's the Travel with Alice.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Queues on the M25 anti-clockwise between junction 17 for Maple Cross and 16 for the M40. Also heavy going through the roadworks at 26 for Waltham Abbey and 24 for Potters Bar. Major problems if you're heading to Stansted today. The M11 northbound is closed between junction 7 for Harlow and 8 for Bishop Stortford. It's causing real problems as a knock-on as well in Bishop Stortford. London Road is slow and there are delays generally around the area. In Roxton, the A1 is busy at both directions at the Black Cat roundabout. And on Greater Anglia, there are delays of up to 20 minutes possible between Cheshunt and Liverpool Street. This is Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Right, it's 8:17. It's Friday the 15th of November. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Milton Keynes Hospital has decided to allow an anaesthetist back to work 9 months after he was suspended for allegedly falling asleep during an operation. Ministers have struck a deal with GPs to ensure that the care of elderly patients is overseen by a named GP. The government says the agreement will help to reduce hospital admissions for up to 4 million patients over the age of 75. England's under... What are you laughing at?
What's going on with your voice?
Have you suddenly taken a new job as James Wales agent or something? This is what this is. It's your fault I'm like this.
Don't blame me.
You gave it to me.
I didn't. I never had what you've got. I mean, look, you're like a sponge of germs.
I followed your advice. I had a very hot curry last night.
Did it work?
Well, no, it didn't, because it wasn't hot enough to make me sweat. It was just hot enough to be a really unpleasant meal. Oh, yes.
Today's going to be fun.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad you're not using this studio. England's under 21s have... well done. The weather,
BBC Three Counties Radio. BBC Three Counties Radio's Big Tour.
Today I'll be live from the Gosling Sports Centre in Welwyn Garden City, the first stop on our big tour of beds, hearts and bucks. I'll be getting involved with Children in Need fundraising shenanigans and waxing some brave men's legs. Hopefully not my own this time. Plus, I'll dust off my trainers ready for my very own tennis lesson, and I'll be speaking to local disability tennis star Mark Francis. Pop down and meet us all at the Gosling Sports Centre in Welwyn Garden City today from midday.
BBC Three Counties Radio's Big Tour of beds, hearts and bucks.
Heartfelt and warm. Look at you. You make me sick. Literally, in this case, you've made me sick.
Don't blame me.
So get on the phone to your client, James Whale, and tell him he might have a booking next week.
I just came in on Monday feeling a little bit coldy.
No.
One day it lasted and I was back fighting fit.
Yeah, because you gave it to me.
Well, I don't think that's the way colds
work.
Yes,
it is. It's what's that film where if you've got something, you can give it... It's like The Ring. Have you seen The Ring?
No.
The film. Where if you watch this certain video... A Japanese film. If you watch this certain video, you will die within 7 days, unless you trick someone else into watching that video.
Right.
So you've tricked me into watching a video which has given me a cold.
So,
something like that.
Well, I mean, if I am single-handedly responsible for the state of you today, then I formally apologise.
Can you look me in the eye when you say that? Well, you can't, can you? You really can't. That's cold. You've changed. You've changed since you won another Sony. Your Gillards. What's on your show this morning?
Coming up on the big phone in this morning.
Yes.
Do you still get a good service from your GP surgery? Ooh. You might be able to answer this after the weekend, by the way you're going. The British Medical Association and NHS England, they're in talks over next year's GP contracts, and one of the proposals looks at aiming to keep more elderly patients out of hospital. The changes will mean every person aged 75 and over will be assigned a named, accountable GP to ensure patients receive personal and coordinated care. GPs will also take on more responsibility for out-of-hours care and monitor the quality of out-of-hours services used by their patients. Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt hailed this move as the return of the old-fashioned family doctor. However, Andy Burnham, Shadow Health Secretary, suggested this will not hide the fact that David Cameron has made it harder to get a GP appointment. Well, from 9 this morning, I want your views. Do you still get a good service from your GP surgery? Do you know what happens when I go to mine?
Go on.
There was a time that I used to be able to phone mine up, and we had the family doctor, which is, I guess, what they're talking about, giving frail and elderly people now. We had our family doctor. So you'd phone up and you'd say, hello, can I have an appointment with Dr. So-and-so? And they would say, oh, he's not in today, but he'll be back in. He's in surgery tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
Would you like an appointment with him tomorrow? yeah, I can wait till tomorrow. Yeah, I'll have an appointment with my usual doctor tomorrow. If not, if you were feeling particularly poorly, you'd say, well, which other doctors are on today? And they'd say, oh, Dr. So-and-so, Doctor... And when they got to one that you liked,
Yes.
you'd seen before, you'd say, oh, yeah, I'll have an appointment with him, please. Oh, yes, well, he's got an appointment at 4 o'clock. Lovely. So you always saw someone you kind of knew.
Yep.
Always had that sense of familiarity. Now, my doctor's surgery is about double the size that it used to be. And when you phone up, they say, can I have an appointment to see the doctor? And they say, well, we've got an appointment at 5 o'clock with Dr. So-and-so. And you think, I've never even heard of this person before. You say, what about Dr. So-and-so? Oh, no, I'm afraid, no, he's fully booked up. And, oh, no, he's retired. No, he doesn't work on Wednesdays, I'm afraid. There's no... So you then end up seeing a doctor. And when you see the doctor, it's always someone who's just out of medical school, because they sit there and then they say, right, hang on a minute, I've got to phone the other doctor before I can write you out a prescription.
Yeah.
They talk it all through and they say, so do you think that's right? Yes, OK, he agrees with me. I'm going to prescribe you this. And you think, what hands? I mean, the work experience person's hands or something.
Yeah.
And that's my experience of my doctor's surgery.
But recently when I've called a doctor a few times, I've not been offered an appointment that day with any doctor. It's certainly not that day. To see my doctor, the last time I went to see my doctor, I phoned up on a Wednesday. I couldn't see her for 12 days. 12 days.
Did you go through the automated system?
No, I spoke to one of the automated women.
Oh.
Who couldn't see her for 12 days. And the earliest appointment I could get with another doctor was like 3 days, I think.
Because I tried before, my doctor's surgery, it says, to use our automated system, press 1.
Oh, no.
So you press 1, and it says, would you like the next available appointment? Press 1 if yes. Yes, press 1. And it says, do you mind if you see a male doctor or a female doctor? If no, then press 1. Press 1 again.
Good timing of pressing that 1, by the way.
The next appointment with a doctor is in, and then it gives you about 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm not having this. So I phoned back, and when it said, do you want the automated system? I said, no, I pressed 2.
Press button 2.
And the lady came on. I said, I'd like an appointment with the doctor today. She said, 4 o'clock okay for you?
Wow.
That's the difference
odd,
between an automated system. But I want your views and your experiences with your GP from 9 this morning. Do you still get a good service from your GP surgery? 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, an investigation is underway after a dog died after being electrocuted outside a shop in London Colney. The Staffordshire Bull Terrier was left chained to the side of the shutter outside the Colney mini market in the High Street with the owner's 5-year-old nephew. In a statement, St Albans District Council said the shop would remain closed until a full electrical safety inspection had been completed. 08459 455 555 if you want to have your say on this. I'm joined now by Mick Martin from Letchworth. He's from BBC's Dog Borstal and a regular on this show. Morning, Mick.
Morning.
Mick, what's your reaction to this?
Well, it's tragic. I mean, thank God it wasn't, the child. Oh, that's the first thing I said. 5-year-old outside the shop, I probably wouldn't have done that either, to be honest. But, I've never heard of anything like it.
I'm discovering this morning, Mick, maybe you can clear this up. I'm being told it's illegal to leave your dog outside a shop. Is that right?
Right, OK, you discovered it this morning. I've never heard of that.
Oh.
You could say you can't tie your dog up while you go and post a letter then. That's illegal, is it?
Well, this is what's being told. What I'm hearing this morning. It'll be interesting. 08459 455 555 if anybody knows. Because it is one of those traditional British things, isn't it? You walk along the shops and you see a dog tied to the rail outside the newsagents or outside Tesco. It's one of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I train my clients to tie their dogs up so that they can do something else. I also train them to do a downstay. So, for instance, if you were in the park, Iain, with your dog, you're walking along, and a child fell over, or an elderly lady, I would expect you could go and help without the dog jumping all over that person. So I train a thing called the downstay, where the dog stays in the down while you go and assist. It's a similar thing, really, and like you said, it's a traditional thing, really. You tie the dog up outside, and as long as it hasn't got any behavioural problems, it's not aggressive, I can't see a problem with it.
Is there anything that dog owners can do? You're talking about training the dog to lie down. Sometimes you do see dogs outside shops, and they are yappy, and they are barky, and they are sniffing, and it looks like they could be in a bit of distress as well.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we do teach as part of that whole down thing, and we do that really early on, is while we have a little tea break, we tie the dogs up and we reassure the dog and reward it for laying down and being quiet. And so it gets used to doing it, and then it isn't a stressful thing. If you have a dog with anxiety issues, then you have to deal with those in a different way. And certainly if you've got a dog with anxiety problems or behavioural problems, you wouldn't leave it tied outside a shop in case it reacted to someone who was walking by. What I'm talking about is a sort of well-adjusted dog.
Mick, if I I haven't got a dog, but if I did and I tied it up outside a shop and I went in and then that dog bit someone, it would still be my responsibility, would it?
Yeah, absolutely. You'd be probably committing an offence under the Dangerous Dogs Act now, just so that everyone knows that there's a stated case. I'll mention this. A large supermarket, as a person had their dog in the car, and they were reported, because this dog was going ballistic in the car, there was a small gap, maybe 4 inches, where they'd left the windows open, and they were reported and charged with having a dog dangerously out of control in a public place. And that was actually in a car. So I'm thinking where the information came from, tiny dog up outside the shop, I think if it causes a nuisance or it's a danger to the public, then it would be Dangerous Dogs Act. Other than, if you had a little fluffy who's as good as gold, and you tied it up outside the shop while you went and posted the letter, I couldn't see that would be an offence. I'll have to look it up.
Have a look. Let us know. Maybe we're all going to learn something this morning. Mick, thank you very much. Always nice to talk to you. Mick Martin from Letchworth, also from the BBC TV series Dog Borstal. 08459 455 555 is the phone number. Facebook.com/BBC 3CR. This is BBC Three Counties Radio. Let's get the latest travel news now.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
M25 anti-clockwise, still queuing between 17 for Maple Cross and 16 for the M40. It's stop-start through the roadworks at junction 26 for Waltham Abbey and 24 for Potters Bar. There are major problems heading to Stansted this morning. The M11 northbound is still closed between junction 7 for Harlow and 8 for Bishop Stortford. It's causing a knock-on effect of delays around Bishop Stortford, with Harlow Road northbound looking really slow, and there are delays generally around the area. The A10 heading south is very slow between the Hoddesdon roundabout and Bars Hill. And then public transport, Greater Anglia have delays of up to 20 minutes possible between Cheshunt and Liverpool Street. This is Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8:30. I'm Barry Caffrey. The headlines: an elderly anaesthetist who allegedly fell asleep on duty at Milton Keynes Hospital has been allowed to return to work. In a statement, the Trust said it happened during a caesarean section procedure, but the patient involved was not put at risk. Elderly and frail NHS patients in England are to be offered a GP dedicated to overseeing their care. The government says it will mark a return to old-fashioned family doctors and reduce hospital admissions. An investigation is underway into how a dog was electrocuted outside a shop in London Colney. The dog had been chained to the shutter of the Colney mini market in the High Street. In a statement, St Albans District Council said the shop would remain closed until a full electrical safety inspection had been carried out. And the weather forecast: dry today with clear spells and light winds. Plenty of sunshine around today too, with maximum temperatures of 10 degrees Celsius. That's 50 degrees Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
England under-21s were comfortable winners in their European Championship qualifier against Finland in Milton Keynes last night. England won 3-0. Alistair Bruce Ball was watching.
Gareth Southgate's team continued their serene progress in this group, playing some eye-catching stuff again, and West Brom striker Saido Berahino is building a very impressive international record. 6 goals in just 4 games for him in this group, and he would have had a hat-trick but for one second-half effort coming back off the bar. But there were plenty of other players who caught the eye. The Southampton duo of Luke Shaw and James Ward-Prowse, Wilfred Zaha, who looked so desperate to show what he could do, and Ravel Morrison linking it together in the number 10 role behind Berahino. Finland played the last 20 minutes with 10 men after right-back Patrick O'Shaughnessy was sent off. England were well in control tonight, and they are well in control of this group.
Well, Watford and MK Dons have a free weekend due to international fixtures, but Luton play their 6th away match in a row tomorrow as the Hatters head to Chester in the conference. Wickham are at home to Cheltenham in League 2 and Stevenage host Rotherham in League 1. The Borough manager Graham Westley comes up against another boss with a big reputation, Steve Evans.
Steve's an all right guy. People read him as a fiery character, and a lot of it's just huff and puff. He's a guy who's willing to smile away from his football, and he's got a job to do in the dugout, and he plays with that fire. But he's a pussycat, really.
Coach Stuart Lancaster says England will have to be at their best for 80 minutes if they've any chance of repeating last year's victory over New Zealand when the sides face each other tomorrow at Twickenham. But how does former England flanker Richard Hill think the current side should go about trying to stop New Zealand captain Richie McCaw?
Smash him off it. Sometimes we can overcomplicate the breakdown. We can talk about crocodile rolling. We can talk about lifting legs. There are some times where just a good old-fashioned physical smash has got to be your number one priority.
Well, locally, Bedford take on Moseley in the Championship this evening at Goldington Road. The Blues have picked up just 1 win from 7 in the league and they're 9th in the table. Cricket, and it was a largely frustrating morning for England's bowlers as an Australian Invitational 11 closed day 3 of their tour match on 153 for 4, a lead of 39 runs with 6 second innings wickets remaining. England's batsmen had finished their first innings earlier in the day on 418. Joe Root scored 75 and Johnny Bairstow 48. BBC Three Counties Radio News and Sport. I'll be back with a full bulletin at 9.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Right. Got some live music coming up at the end of the show. We're talking about dogs, we're talking about gollies as well. Lots of texts. Let me do some of these texts, then I'll speak to Michelle and then Justin Dealey. White trash is racist, said Bob in Dunstable. I've been called it many times. I find it offensive. I wouldn't be allowed to say black trash. White trash means white rubbish. Yes, I know what trash means. Thank you, Bob. Marco in St Albans, if there was a costume called black trash, that would be racist. We wouldn't be allowed, yet white trash is fine. Louise, as a child, I could not wait to stay up late and watch the black and white minstrel show. Really? It was rubbish. Whether it was offensive or not, it was just rubbish. And I have happy memories of family time. However, we all would not want to watch that kind of entertainment now, as our entertainment expectations have moved forward. We are in a different era, and maybe a golly costume is nostalgic. It's now out of touch. Iain, the BBC, this is from Pat, the BBC and presenters are oversensitive, as you know, when you only read out texts and emails you want us, the listeners, to hear. Sometimes you cut texts short, as you know, or do not read them out at all. No excuses about time, etc. What that means to me as a listener, I'm resisting the urge to cut this rather tedious, the paranoid text short. What that means to me as a listener is I can never trust what I hear on Three Counties Radio and put shows like yours as a form of entertainment and nothing else. Yeah. That's what it is, isn't it? And how do you know when I don't read out emails and texts? I mean, I read out the majority of them, and I also read out a fair mixed pick of them as well, Pat. I don't... in fact, I never err on one side or the other. I read out the mixed bunch. That's fair enough to say, isn't it, Catherine? Yep. Although that Pat won't believe that. Pat will think that's part of the conspiracy. Michelle's on the M1. Morning, Michelle.
Hello, good morning.
What would you like to say, Michelle?
Well, first of all, about the dog issue, I used to tie my dog up outside the shop when I did have a dog.
Yeah.
And it was a German Shepherd dog, so it's quite big. So I used to tie it away from the door. I think it can be quite scary sometimes when you go to walk into a shop and there's a dog standing right there because you don't know it. But for the little boy that was standing there when that happened, that must have been the most extremely frightening and scary.
It must have been awful, mustn't it, for the poor thing?
Absolutely awful. But I think what's also slightly scary is some of the comments that I hear coming through from the people on the radio station.
Go on.
They're inherently racist views. The woman came on this morning and she said, oh, is it because I'm black? I think the thing is, what people don't seem to understand and realise is that, yes, we have come on in this country and we have learned to understand people better. It's not about... I do get the point in terms of political correctness and how difficult things can be sometimes, and sometimes people are too scared to say one thing or the other. It's about not being ignorant. It's about learning how we've moved on and moving on with that to try to make sure that we don't offend people and we don't victimise people and we don't stigmatise people. Now, in this country, we have inherently racist systems. We have an overrepresentation of ethnic minority groups who are underachieving in the education system, especially young black males. We have an overrepresentation of ethnic minority groups in the judicial system, especially the youth offending system. Now, I think those kind of figures, when you look at them, just go to show how inherently racist our whole systems can be. Now, I think for people to then come on the show and say, well, you know, it's political correctness gone wrong. How about it's political correctness gone right? And trying to balance what has been going wrong for many, many years.
Michelle, there will be some people listening who are saying, well, hang on a second, the percentage of black people in courts and in politics and in things like that, that black people are a minority. Are you advocating positive discrimination?
What I'm saying is there is an overrepresentation of ethnic minority groups in the judicial system.
Right.
So exactly what you're saying is right. There is a minority in the actual in the cohort of the population. But then when you look at the cohort in the population imprisoned and underachieving in the education system, it's so high. That doesn't make sense. There is no rational explanation for that, and there has to be an element of racism that goes on there to even account for those really high figures.
Michelle, thank you very much indeed for that. The reason we're talking about this golly costume, it's in a few of today's papers. The adult fancy dress costume is currently for sale at £39.99 from Amazon. It's led to calls for it to be taken down. Well, are we being a little bit oversensitive? Am I playing the kind of liberal, white, middle-class BBC role that we're so often accused of? Or is it a bit of fun or is it offensive, I guess, is the question. Justin Dealey has been out talking to people this morning, haven't you, Justin?
I have, and I think, Ian, we were both fascinated, weren't we, when we saw this picture in the paper this morning, the year 2013. I, for one, if I went to a party and I saw somebody wearing a costume like this, I don't know about you, but I would think that person was slightly strange.
I would consider it an odd choice, definitely, yes.
Well, I have been talking to members of the black community this morning. I've gone out with the article, and I asked them whether they find this costume offensive. Here's what people have had to say.
It is offensive, and I think people try to make light and make jest of these things, but it is still offensive, and it shouldn't be allowed.
If you saw somebody wearing that, how would that make you feel? Why would it offend you?
It would just reveal to me how ignorant they are and how stupid they are, and I'd totally be offended by that.
I spoke to a member of the black community this morning who said that's just fun, and if you're black and you're proud, that should mean nothing more sinister to you.
I think, like history has been really cruel, and, I don't think that we should make light of it. I think that we should remember the terrible deeds that have happened in the past, and by using a symbol like that, which is clearly very offensive, has been for many years, I think we should acknowledge that.
No, I don't think so.
So it's not making fun of you as a black person?
No, I don't think it's making fun, because I will wear that if it's a fancy party or something. So if you can wear it, why is it offensive if somebody's wearing it or it's been displayed in a paper or something? No.
So as a black person, you'd actually wear that costume yourself?
I will wear them. I don't see anything offensive with that. To me, it's fun, and if you are making fun of yourself or wherever the situation is, I don't see anything offensive with that.
It depends seriously on the actual context of it. If that was seen as a fancy dress party, I certainly wouldn't be offended with that.
I think the powers that be need to look into that. It's 2013, times have moved on, and that should not be posted anywhere in the general public. Do not do that. It's disgusting.
It's a real mixed reaction, isn't it, Justin? That's the thing.
Absolutely. Of course, we had some reaction earlier on. The majority of people I spoke to said, come on, don't be offended by this. The golly's been around for years. It's just a bit of fun. But some people get very, very angry. And, of course, that's why I've picked members of the black community this morning, because we're not going to be offended by this, because this, of course, to those people is making fun at them. We are not black. So it's interesting to get the views this morning of the people, and it's one way or the other. You either see this as fun, there's nothing wrong with it, or you're highly offended by it. It's one or the other, Ian.
Justin, thank you very much indeed. We've got a text here from Matt, 81333, starting his text 3. So, Ian, I'm very surprised your show doesn't seem to be supporting BBC's Children in Need. Not one mention of any local events, etc. Very poor. I've been asking for people to get in touch all morning, Matt. No one's bothered. No one's bothered. And by not banging on about it doesn't mean we don't support it. Of course we do. And I'm sure they're going to raise an absolute fortune. I do know that some people are always a little bit keen to find respite from the relentless drive of Children in Need, so hopefully we've offered that. But we have been asking this morning, and there's 20 minutes of the show. If you are doing a fundraising event for Children in Need this today, then give me a call, 08459 455 555, and we will happily give you a plug. Peter's in Wolverton. Morning, Peter.
Good morning, Ian.
Peter,
get well soon, that's all I can say.
Say that again.
Get well soon.
Thank you very much indeed.
Now, Good Golly Miss Molly was sung by a black man in the 50s as a pop record.
Yes.
No one complained. White trash. Who gives a damn? Let's just live our lives, eh? And
even if our behaviour does offend some people, if someone is offended by the golly costume or someone is offended by the phrase white trash,
people get offended by the least little thing, and it's usually a minority of people that take offence, or of course they don't like the look of your face in the first instance. Moving on, the ignorance of the law, i.e. the dog, it's a shame the poor dog died, it's a terrible thing.
This was the dog tied up outside a shop that was electrocuted, yes.
Yes, to lose a pet is really heartbreaking, I must admit.
Yeah.
But ignorance of the law is no excuse for breaking the law, and the law will state that. However, I was once electrocuted in Islington. I was helping a friend of mine take out a shop front, and all the wires, etc., hanging there on the scaffolding. And I said to the Sparks, is this wire dead? I don't want to be pulling this out when it's all alive. He says, come down and have a look. And he showed me the cut main wire. He says, that leads up to there. It is all dead, all switched off. I says, great. Put a crowbar on this wire. Give it one hefty tug. There was this big flash bang, smell of sulphur burning and me, and there I am laying on the floor thinking, what happened there?
Yeah.
Accidents do happen, I'm afraid.
Peter, thank you very much indeed. Well, we asked for your Children in Need events, and we've got them. Sarah's called in. Morning, Sarah.
Hi, I'm calling from St Albans, and I just wanted to let you know that Quality Solicitors Brotherton Law are doing some events for Children in Need.
What have you got going on?
We're getting spotty, and we're all donating money to be able to wear spots today at work, and we're also doing a bake sale within the office and local teams in aid of Children in Need. We've all been baking all week to raise money for all the children across the country.
What have you made, Sarah?
We've made some chocolate milk cookies, and we've been up since 6 o'clock in the morning making 48 cookies.
Come on, that sounds good.
So just thought that everyone would like to know that things are happening.
So if people want to... Can general punters come in and buy these cookies and cakes?
So we are available. Our clients will be able to purchase
Beautiful.
them today, and I'm sure that if people wanted to come in and buy things, I'm not sure we're mass market, but if people are in the St Albans area, I'm sure that we'd welcome any donations to Children
Give the
in
company
Need.
a plug again and tell people where you are.
It's Quality Solicitors Brotherton Law in St Albans on Verulam Road, first floor, Alban Row.
Sarah, best of luck with that. Luann is in Ampthill. Morning, Luann.
Morning.
Luann, what are you up to today for Children in Need?
Well, me and about 250 children are all wearing our pyjamas today.
Oh, fantastic.
I've just dropped my child off at her lower school in Ampthill, and we're all in our pyjamas. But then I am in my pyjamas as well, and I'm going into my toy shop, which is Fairies and Frogs in Ampthill. And anybody that comes in their pyjamas into the shop, we will donate at least 20% of our sales today to Children in Need.
Fantastic. Doesn't it feel naughty wearing your pyjamas? Even outside of even downstairs in the house it feels naughty, but being outside is wonderful.
It's going to feel warm because I'm in a really old building and I get very cold. So being in my fluffy pyjamas, I'm actually really looking forward to it.
Luann, give the shop a plug again and so people can come along and take part.
It's the Fairies and Frogs toy shop and we're on Church Street in Ampthill.
Excellent
and
stuff.
We're also doing a Name a Teddy Bear as well for donations.
There we go. Well done. I hope you raise a lot of money for that. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
M25 anti-clockwise is slow from before junction 26 Waltham Abbey and 24 into Potters Bar through the roadworks. Major problems heading up to Stansted on the M11 where it's closed northbound between junction 7 for Harlow and 8 for Bishop Stortford. Trapped traffic is now being allowed to pass though in lane 3. Still having a knock-on though in Standon Hill, the A120 is queuing in both directions between Pucker Ridge roundabout and Haddam Road. Much worse than usual there today. Also Bishop Stortford is looking very busy and Harlow Road northbound is really very slow. Public transport Greater Anglia have delays of up to 20 minutes possible between Cheshunt and Liverpool Street. This is Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Alice. Right, 8:47. It's Friday the 15th of November. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. An elderly anaesthetist who was caught sleeping on the job has been allowed to return to work at Milton Keynes Hospital. Elderly and frail NHS patients in England are to be offered a GP dedicated to overseeing their care. The government says it will mark a return to old-fashioned family doctors and reduce hospital admissions. In sport, England's under-21s won 3-0 against Finland at the MK Stadium last night. Coming up, more of your calls, more of your children in need activities and also a little bit of live music. But before that, here's the weather with Elizabeth.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hi, very good morning to you. There'll be lots of sunshine around for the rest of the day today across the three counties. A very beautiful, crisp autumn's day. There is a light northerly wind. It's still fairly chilly wind, but it's not as strong as it was yesterday. So feeling a touch more pleasant in the sunshine. That will last for the rest of the day, perhaps turning a bit cloudier over parts of Buckinghamshire a bit later on into the afternoon. Now, top temperatures today up to around 8 or 9 degrees, 48 in Fahrenheit. Still rather chilly. Wrap up warmly. Now, overnight tonight, we'll see a frosty night, a rather misty and foggy night as well in places, just patchy really, forming here and there, particularly over the tops of the hills into tomorrow morning. And then for tomorrow we'll see the mist and the fog slowly lift and clear. It will be quite gradual, I think, because the winds are going to be fairly light into tomorrow. And then tomorrow some brightness around, a few sunny spells before things cloud over into the afternoon and a cloudy end of the day. Quite cloudy day on Sunday. We'll see a very weak weather front giving us a few spits and spots of light rain and drizzle at times. Perhaps some heavier rain on Monday, and then on Tuesday and Wednesday it's likely to turn really quite cold and possibly even a bit wintry as well. That's the forecast.
Thank you very much.
Here at BBC Three Counties Radio, we want to show off everything that's amazing about where we live.
And to do that, we need your help.
We'd like you to send your pictures of your favourite places from the three counties.
Places like Dunstable Downs,
Ampthill Park,
Ivinghoe Beacon,
MK's Concrete Cows,
Nebworth House,
Waddesdon Manor.
We'll then use them on our Facebook page to show everyone exactly what this area has to offer.
Send your pictures to 3cr@bbc.co.uk and then visit facebook.com/BBC3CR
to see everyone's favourite parts of Beds, Herts and Bucks.
Lots of comments on Facebook about this whole golly costume. Joanne says, as a child of the 70s, I loved my golly doll and see nothing wrong with the costume. It was always a lovable image until it was tainted by silly grown-ups. And don't even get me started about Robertson's jam. The Rain says, I think most kids born in the 60s had gollies. They were toys, not races at all. I had a golly. We also had trolls and gonks. If someone is offended, I feel sorry for them, as it says more about their own mind and how they think. And one more at random. Lisa says, nothing wrong with gollies. My kids have got a golly doll and 2 mugs with gollies on. Anyone who's offended needs to get a life. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Now, I'm joined... we always like to have a little bit of music on a Friday, and I'm joined now by Doghouse Roses. Morning, everybody.
Hello.
So we've got Sean, we've got Mark, and we've got Liam.
Yep.
Is that right? OK. Is this a little bit too early for you guys to be kind of up
It's pretty early,
doing this nonsense?
That's why we all look so rough.
It was a bit of a struggle to get here as well, just waking up this morning.
I'll be honest, one of you looks rougher than the others. I'm not saying who.
Thank you very much. Hello, Liam. This is normally bedtime.
Oh, is it? Right, I see. Listen, let's have a song and then we'll have a chat first. What are you going to play for us first?
The first song is called Doghouse Roses.
Away you go.
Okay.
you wrong. You can't tell me the moment's gone. You mean more than flowers, more than any song can say. I'll send you dog-ass roses every night. Dog-ass roses till you're mine. Dog-ass roses, baby, now. I guess I'll see you around. Dog-ass roses every night. Dog-ass roses till you're mine. Dog-ass roses, baby, now. I guess I'll see you around.
Hey, fantastic. Well done, chaps. Excellent stuff. How did you all get together?
In a pub.
Yeah, we all met in a pub.
I suspected it might have been. I had a feeling.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
5 months ago.
Yeah, we've been together about 5 months now.
Right. And how? It's been a long time since I put a band together. What made you go, hey, we should start a band?
We had a gig booked before we really had anything else. Basically,
Really?
Mark here was putting on a reality show for Help the Heroes in Bedford.
Yeah.
And they had the choir boys playing, and he wanted a support band, and he put his name down before he had anyone to play with. So we.
Mark, that's an unusual way of going about doing things.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the way we work.
That's how we operate, yeah.
Last minute. Everything.
Have you got lots of gigs coming up? You doing stuff?
Yeah, we got quite a few actually.
Go on, give us some.
We've got, it's all in Bedford, these ones. 17th of November, the George and Dragon. We've got 23rd of November, Foresters Arms. 1st of December, the Standard. 8th of December, the Ship. And the 14th of December, the Flower Pot. That's all in Bedford.
And have you got a Facebook or a website, or if people want to find out more?
Yeah, it's www.facebook.com/Doghouse Roses UK.
Fantastic.
And we've got Twitter as well.
It's the
Get a
same
find on
thing,
Twitter.
Doghouse Roses UK.
Brilliant. All right, listen, we've got about 2 minutes. Can you give us another song? I may have to give you the shut up, but,
that's
but
fine.
don't be
That's
offended
fine.
if I do.
No, that's right.
Hey, I won't be chucking anything at you, so that's something. What have you got? What are you going to finish on?
This next song's called Change of Heart.
Okay, away you go. This is Doghouse Roses, Change of Heart. BBC Three Counties Radio. You keep playing, fellas. And while they're playing, we'll get the latest travel. Here's Alice. Alice, over to you.
The M25 anti-clockwise, slow from before junction 26 for Waltham Abbey and 24 for Potters Bar into the roadworks there. Major problems heading to Stansted. The M11 northbound closed between junction 7 for Harlow and 8 for Bishop Stortford. Trap traffic's been allowed to pass now, but it's having a knock-on in Standon Hill. The A120 is queuing in both directions between Puckeridge Roundabout and Haddam Road. The A5 in Dunstable heading southbound is slow between Houghton Road and Beach Road. On public transport, Greater Anglia have delays of up to 20 minutes possible between Cheshunt and Liverpool Street. This is Alice Glossop, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Alice. Right, that's it. Let's keep playing, fellas. You can play us out to the end of the show. Doghouse Roses. Give us your website one more time.
What's that, sorry?
Give us the Facebook page one more time.
Okay, it's www.facebook.com/Doghouse Roses UK.
There we go. Excellent stuff indeed. Right, that's it. That's your lot from me. Thank you very much, everyone who took part in the show today. New podcast comes out today about 1 o'clock. Have a nice weekend. Fingers crossed it'll be me or James Whale next week. Let's see what happens, shall we? Thank you, chaps.
Cheers.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Iain. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon-Smith. It's Friday, it's 9 o'clock. And on today's big phone-in, do you still get a good service from your GP surgery? The British Medical Association and NHS England